Yo, what is up, peeps? Happy Saturday. Hopefully, you guys are staying safe out there. But man, do we have a good show for you guys today. I can't wait to talk about it. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Glad to have you guys rocking with us. Make sure you guys do like the video and share it across all social media platforms. The more people watching means the more people are at home staying safe. But without further ado, let us go ahead and introduce you guys to the panel today. First up is our scouting expert, our own personal doctor, Bravo. Bravo, how you doing, man?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Going to be an interesting episode. We talk about a lot of things today, and there has been a lot of news also with the Pistons. So please listen and enjoy and hit the like button too.
Absolutely. Next up, man, it's good to have you back on the show. Nomis, how you doing today?
What's going on, everybody? Glad to be back. I've been MIA. Hopefully, nothing interests me now. Let me know in the chat if y'all digging a new name change. I know it's not on the panel, but it's just a little slight tweak to it. It's called Nomis JTV. So we'll see how that rolls. Let me know. But let's have a good one, y'all.
Nomis JTV. That's got a nice ring to it, man. I like that. In case you guys don't know, Nomis is the king of names. After all, he did come up with the name for our show right now, and that's Above the Rim. So, Nomis, I'm gonna tell you this, man. You're the name expert. Last but certainly not least on the panel is the heart of the city, 313 JMO. JMO, how you doing, man?
What's good? What's good, man? It's Free Smoke Saturday. I've been busy today, man. I've been helping people move. So the Free Smoke is dialed down a little bit, but give me 30 minutes and give me a second for somebody to hate on Luke Kennard. And it's right back on, man. Y'all already know what it is. What's good, y'all?
That didn't take you long to get in the swing of things. And then before we move any further, quick shout out to Joey. He hit me up with a 99-cent super chat in the pregame lobby. We call it the pregame lobby because you're supposed to pregame for any Detroit Drew live stream. But so he was the first one in the chat, but I also see Pistons Talk in the chat. I see Kyle Webb. I see D-Map Zoom, and I see Nomis JTV on the chat right now. Nomis, again, I like the name change. So if you guys are in the chat, go ahead and let me know that you guys are here. There's a bunch of people in here watching that I can't see because you guys aren't being active right now. Like right there. Boom. D-Lock is in the building. What's up, man? So, guys, let's jump right into it. There's been a lot of news going around. So, I mean, we got a lot of things to talk about. We're not going to be cutting this thing short. We're going to talk about every single thing today. But per multiple sources, it looks like the NBA is set to come back this month. And it's really debatable if they're going into the playoff format right away and doing a 16-team format of maybe not doing any conferences. At least that's what they said on the herd. I don't know if that's the game plan or not. But it's looking like there is a chance that the Detroit Pistons season is all but over. It's looking like a lot of people kind of want to jump straight in the playoffs so that way that the offseason is not cut too short and that next season is not delayed too long. Bravo, if this is the case, is this the right move?
I think so. I think it's so cutting the season short. This is the whole thing is the pandemic is affecting a lot of people's life at this point. Canceling the season just because of the player safety, I think it's not a bad decision. I mean, at this point, any kind of decision from the NBA is better than no decision at all. And I think canceling the NBA cutting the NBA at this and having the rest of the playoffs start at the 16 from 1 to 16. I think it's not a bad decision because it's really rough for players to go through the pandemic and create a bubble environment for them to play. I'm not a fan against really also continuing the season. I don't object against continuing the season either. I think it's also going to be okay, but there's always a risk of us winning more games and going down in the NBA lottery draft. There are a few other scenarios they talked about the possible NBA restart. So it will be interesting. We're going to talk about this next, I think. So I'm going to stop by here.
Hey, Bravo, I'm never going to cut you short unless you start saying that Steph's better than Magic again. Hey, I'm not going to let that one go. But, hey, no, miss, man. If this is what the NBA is planning to do is jump straight into the playoffs, that would mean the Pistons aren't in it. Is this the right move from the NBA?
I don't see why it's not because the way I see it, the Pistons need all the help they can get. So I say take the early pick, keep the guys healthy, and let's go into next season and let's see what y'all can do. So, first, I personally thought they should. I ain't want to say in the season because we do want to see some sports, and I'm sick of seeing reruns. So yeah, I think it's okay if they want to do the playoffs. We should at least get that. But as far as like trying to continue the rest of the season, and then and hope that the Pistons can still play and finish the season, no, pointless. Go ahead and start the playoffs, and we take the earliest pick we can get.
Hey, shout out to Kane, WWE. I don't think that's the real Kane, but hey, I appreciate the $4.99. It says "Stay safe, DSA." Bravo. Even though you're not really part of the DSA, stay safe too as well. Kane, thank you so much, man. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Shout out to everybody in the chat. JMO, man, if this is what the NBA is looking to do to jump straight into the playoffs, which would mean that our Detroit Pistons are not going to be in it, that our offseason starts early. Is this the right move from the NBA?
I don't think it's the right move. I don't think that the NBA should start right to the playoffs because you got to get some continuity with your players. You got to get back in basketball shape. And whether it's 5 games, 10 games, 3 games, I don't care how many games it is, really. I just think the players need a chance to get their bearings back. And when you look at it, I think I still want to see some of them young players on the Pistons. I don't think we're gonna win any more games, but I would love to see some of our young guys go out, ball out, and show a few flashes and give us some hope. But I think they should play like 10 games, like 72, 73 games, whatever. How many games was played? Everybody plays 72 games, so whichever you are. I think we were at like a lot of games more than other teams, so we wouldn't have to play that many games, probably like 5. But I'm not really worried about draft position because there's nothing we can do that's gonna make our draft position better or worse. Those lottery balls are gonna fall however they're gonna fall, and it's not really gonna matter. Like really, like these last few games at the end of the year, it's not gonna swing the pendulum one way or another way like that, in my opinion. So I don't think that I think they should just play 10 games or play 72 games and then start the playoffs. And plus you can get those bubble teams, a chance to make it,
And someone like Atlanta could benefit from doing that because like right here, Pistons Talk said that he was listening to the Woj and Zach podcast and said that they were hearing a 2022 team format. If a team like Atlanta, and again, I don't know how far Atlanta's out without looking at the standings in front of me, they could be pretty dangerous because they're a wild card.
I was saying Atlanta like 12th. No,
yeah, so I think they're actually. Are they worse than us?
Yeah, no, we worse than them. We 13.
God damn.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we worse than them by like a couple games.
Yeah, so I mean it's a neck and neck race. I don't think the Pistons even would make a 22 team format.
Yeah, but see, that's my thing. If they're doing a 22 team format, what are they doing? Like, we gonna add the 8 through 12 seeds and let them play? Like, I don't get it. How would you do that?
Well, again, I'm not saying this is what the NBA is planning on doing, but I was watching Colin Cowherd. I don't know why. I don't like the guy, but it popped up on YouTube. I was like, all right, cool, I'll watch it. And he was talking about doing a 16 team format of combining the East and the West. So I think Milwaukee had the best record in the NBA. So they would have been going against the 16th seed out of the East and the West, which was Orlando. Out of the playoff teams that would have been made it, they would have been the worst. Again, I don't know why he did that. If they're going to do the playoffs,
he's basically only 16 teams, though.
So I mean, it's still going to be the same amount of teams that would make it. That's why it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. But he just eliminated the conference because he doesn't want conferences. So I was like, well, that's not going to solve anything at all. So I don't know if that's what the NBA is considering or not.
I know this is going off track a bit, but a part of me kind of agrees with that conference thing because I think with the NFL, it's a little bit different. Like, you have to have an NFC and AFC. But with the NBA, it's way different when the NFL, the wild card team can win the Super Bowl. NBA, one of the top 3 teams are going to win every year. So you might as well just throw all the teams together. That way we can see all those legendary matchups that we never saw. Like, if they changed that format way back in the day, we see LeBron versus Kobe in the playoff series, maybe. You know what I'm saying? But I would like that format because, like, you should just have the best teams. Like, what's the point of conferences when, he's in the East, he's in the West? Like, that just, to me, that shouldn't matter. It should be the best 16 teams because it's a lot of teams in the West that are above 500 and they don't even make the playoffs. And then you got, sadly, I don't mean to say it like this, but you got teams like the Pistons and the Magic making the playoffs and they don't got a winning record. Like, it just don't make sense. But that's a side note, though.
Well, just the downfall to that is, which I think why the NBA won't ever do it, is you play more than once. See, in the NFL, you only have to play one game a week. In the NBA, you got to play a 7-game series. So let's say that the Knicks have to play Golden State. Unlikely scenario since the Knicks are terrible, and right now Golden State's bad, but we all know Golden State's going to bounce back next year. They're completely on two separate sides of the country. So you have to play 2 games at Golden State, get a couple days off in between those games, fly to New York, play 2 games in New York, and if it's not a sweep, you got to go back to Golden State and then back to New York and then back to Golden State again. That's a lot of travel. So I don't think the NBA will ever really consider doing that, because it's just a lot of travel on people. They're trying to cut down on doing that. That's why the NBA season stretched out a little bit further. That's why it starts earlier. There's not so many as back-to-back games, because they want to give their players time off to recoup and recover, because they're really trying to cut down on load management, because that's something that we've just seen spike up. And players like LeBron, who are getting older, the travel is a little bit harder on their body. So to do that, it'd be tough on them. But CA3, man, how you doing?
Doing good, man. How about you, man?
I'm not doing too bad. I'm going to throw you right in the fire, man. Per multiple sources, it's looking like the NBA is really, really starting to favor jumping straight into the playoffs, which would mean the Detroit Pistons would not make it, and that would be the end of our season. Is this the right move, though, from the NBA to go right into the playoffs?
I believe this is the right move because, I mean, to me, there's no point of playing a bunch of pointless games. I kind of wish, some teams like the Pelicans would have a chance at maybe making a playoff run. But I mean, I think it's the best move instead of just trying to resume in the regular season. I mean, and playing a bunch of pointless games. So I think it's the best move instead of just playing pointless games. But the only downside of it is, you got upcoming teams like the Pelicans that wouldn't get a chance at making a playoff run.
And I think that's what they want to see Zion make the playoffs. So again, they might tweak this thing. I don't think that they really know what they want to do. They're having a vote this week, I do believe, on what they want to do. But the return date for the NBA, rather if they do go back to the regular season or the playoffs, is set right now as July 31st. So we got one more month before NBA basketball is back. That cannot get here soon enough. But in case this is the end of the Detroit Pistons season, we are sitting pretty right now with the 5th pick in the draft, depending on how bad the lottery wants to help or hurt us. But we're sitting pretty at 5. There's no way for us to boost our stock outside the lottery. So, fellas, is this a good thing or a bad thing if our season is cut short? Because right now, like I said, we're sitting pretty with the 5th pick. We have to wait to see how the lottery is going to help or hurt us. But, Nomus, is this a good thing or a bad thing for the Pistons?
Well, it should be a good thing based off the fact of the matter that since we weren't going anywhere technically this year, and if we weren't going to be, depending on how the lottery, like you said, does do us, we were hoping to get in between that top 3, top 5 area, because the talent grade overall in this draft class first is not that good, and you still have potential value when it comes to trading up, or even possibly trading back, which I don't know why we would trade down, but you can still have something there. It's not quite as good as the 3rd pick, but I mean, like I said, we don't know how the lottery's gonna swing. But at least you got a chance to get one of the top 5, top 6 players in the draft class. So you still get something, and like I said, we'll see how the draft fares us. So I say it's a good thing, which is why I said earlier, keep all you guys healthy. Let's go into next year, get the best player you can get. If you are able to trade up to get the guys we've been talking about, that's even more power to them. And that gives us more opportunity. It's better than being later. I say that.
This is going to be one of the highest draft picks we've had since we have taken Andre Drummond. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm really hyped up for it. Like I said, I at the same time, I kind of wish like this whole thing never happened. Many of us do. Nothing we can do to change it. But we were doing really well at boosting our draft value. Again, I'm not for tanking, but we were doing really good at it. We're playing our young players pretty well. They were getting good looks, getting good experience. We were losing games. The tank for Melo was getting real, but now it looks like it's going to be cut short. So, CA3, man, what about you, man? We can't do much to boost our value anymore unless the lottery wants to help it, and we can't really hurt our value anymore unless the lottery wants to hurt us. So, are the Pistons in a good spot or a bad spot right now in terms of the draft?
I mean, I think they're in a good spot. I mean, especially if we go straight into the playoffs, and considering that a lot of players are healthy now, I think it helps us. From it prevents us from winning any more games. So it's kind of good. But I mean, I wish it could, be a little higher on there. But I mean, I think top 5. If we can get a top 5 pick, that would be great because I think we'll be able to get one of the players that we want, or maybe a Killian Hayes or maybe a James Wiseman if we get lucky, but I doubt it. But we're still sitting at 5 is still a pretty solid spot, and we should be able to get a good player and a player that we want.
Absolutely, man. 313 Jamo, man. His channel next week, 7 p.m. He will be hosting Above the Rim, so you guys can make sure you guys subscribe to him so you don't miss a single week of DSA action. But the Pistons sitting pretty at 5 for right now. We don't have any way to increase our draft value anymore, and we don't have any way to hurt our draft value anymore. Is this a good situation for the Pistons, or is this a bad situation for the Pistons?
Well, I think it's a bad situation because even though I don't believe in tanking, I believe in going out there and losing. So I think we could have had, for all we know, we could have had the number 1 overall pick. You know what I'm saying? I'm just thinking about it from that perspective. I would have rather we finish the season and look, if we lost every game, hey, we lost every game. But I would, you know what I'm saying? I want to get the highest draft position possible, and the fact that they stopped it and the season is over with automatically means we can't get the highest draft position possible. So that's why I think it's a bad thing. But other than that, it should be fine. But I really want that number 1 pick, and the only way you get that is by losing more games. Like, I don't believe in tanking because you don't have to try to lose when our team was as bad as it was. They just gonna go out there and lose. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to try to lose. So I wish the games weren't cut short. That's why I want some of the games to come back. So maybe some teams will win some games or something, and we'll be losing.
Yeah.
I mean, I like what you said, and I'm kind of I don't know how to word this right. I'm kind of happy, like, if this is going to be the case because we're healthy right now. Blake's healthy, according to him. Luke Kennard will be coming back. Derrick Rose will be 100% healthy right now. So I'm not saying that the Pistons would have gone on just this remarkable run and made the playoffs if the season did come back. What I am saying is that they would have been good enough to ruin their draft position and fall to 8, and then our lottery favorite would have been all out of whack. We wouldn't really know where we would have been. We wouldn't really had a good shot at moving up, but it is what it is. We can't do much about it now, I guess. But bravo, man. We're sitting pretty at 5 right now, which is a good position to be in. But we don't have any way to help move up, but we don't have a way to fall down either outside of the lottery. So, Bravo, my question is to you. Are the Pistons in a good position right now in terms of the draft?
I think we're in a solid position, because right now our draft chance in the lottery is 10% in the first pick. Also, we have another 10% of the second pick, and another 10% of the third pick, and another 10% of the fourth pick, compared to the 26% chance of landing the 7th and a 19% chance of landing the 6th, and only a 2.2% in landing the 5. So which is kind of stupid. But hey, I think I'd rather take my chances. So we, collectively speaking, we have about 42% chance of landing a top 4 pick compared to, roughly speaking, 26 plus 19, that'll be about maybe around like another 40% of landing below the 5th spot. So our chances are like 50-50 landing top 4 versus dropping down, staying between 5 and 8. So at this position, I don't think we can do much, and I'd rather take my chances staying like this rather than because I know what happens if we play the rest of the season, which is a possibility, still a possibility that the NBA is going to resume. There's a chance we're going to win some games. And if you're telling me Luke Kennard is back, Blake Griffin is back, D Rose is 100%, no, what are you asking for? You're asking for wins, man. That's what it means. So if we are winning, there's a chance of us really dropping further. And just to give you a quick stat, the New York Knicks, like, our chances of landing a top 4% is like top 4 pick is like 42% compared to the New York Knicks, which is only like a 35%, and the Chicago is 32%. So it's like really the chances drop significantly of landing a top 4 whenever we really drop more in the standing. So I think really I'd rather take my chances at 10% at getting a number 1 or a number 2 or number 3 and number 4. I think it's a good idea to finish the season. It's not a bad idea. Although I would agree with JMO, playing in the NBA is nice. You'd love to see your team, even while you're losing. But there's no guarantee. You know, Dwayne Casey and those players are going to try to win. We might win a game or two, actually. So I'd rather stay like this. It's fine for me.
You know, and I agree, because someone like Blake Griffin, who is getting paid a lot of our salary, who we had high expectations going into this season. If you consider going to the 60 to high expectation, depends on your viewpoint. But you know, he's going to be looking at this thing like a disappointment. So if he comes back, like, he's going to be motivated. He's going to be trying. So, like I said, man, I don't. It's a mixed bag with me, because, you know, I love basketball. It's my favorite sport. I'm going to miss not watching the Pistons anymore for the remainder of the year. But at the same time, long term, I think this is more beneficial, because we have, I think between last time I checked, it was like a 42 and some change % chance of getting a top 4 pick. So that's remarkable. That's going to be our highest draft pick since the 03 draft. We have to get it right. That's the most important thing. So I just pray and hope that we don't fall much below 5. I'll be cool with 6 or 7, because you're still going to get a good quality guy there. But outside, if we fall to 8, which I think Pistons talk, so that's the lowest we can fall to, I'm not going to be as ecstatic. You know, we've gone through a lot. And I really think if you guys are into the NBA conspiracy theories about the lottery system, you know, the Knicks getting Patrick Ewing with a folded envelope, or the Pelicans getting Zion for sacrificing Anthony Davis, or just anything in between there, the NBA could really look at the Detroit Pistons right now and want to give them a good draft pick and potentially give them a superstar, because the Pistons are a talking point throughout the NBA. And I'm not talking about right now, but we just had the Last Dance end. And one of the hottest topics that they're still talking about right now is the whole Isaiah Thomas versus Michael Jordan thing. You know, not making the dream team. The bad boys walking off the court. You know, MJ's a hot commodity. He was back then. So to move more recently, although it's still almost 20 years ago, it's about 16 years or so. It's making me feel old, because I remember like yesterday, the 04 Pistons giving it to Shaq and Kobe. People still talk about that game. You know, or that series, I should say, for breaking them up. You know, the Pistons have just throughout the hottest eras of basketball have been really good. And basketball is back up. Almost every single team right now has a superstar. Almost every single team, or a player that they're hoping will be a superstar. There's still a few of them out there that are a long ways away from that, but the Pistons could benefit from this. The NBA could benefit from this. I mean, look back when we had the 04 team. The Pistons set an NBA record for most sold out games throughout like that year period. It was insane. I mean, Detroit was booming. People love the Pistons. We got Pistons fans from all across the world. I got a lot of people from the Philippines that watch this show. I got people from Germany who watch this show, from Sweden, and just I think I got one from Israel. I mean, it's crazy that people around the world want to see the Pistons be good, and I think both the Pistons and the NBA can benefit from them getting a James Wiseman, a Melo, Anthony Edwards, which we'll be talking about later, and potentially getting this guy. So if you're into the NBA conspiracy theories, like I am, I love that kind of stuff, then the NBA can make this thing happen. But without any more rambling on, let's go ahead to the next topic. The Pistons, per Woj, are looking at a new GM. Right now, we technically don't have a GM in title, as Stefanski's kind of taken over that role. We have an assistant GM and Malik Rose, although I'm not really sure 100% what his role is with the team in terms of making moves. I'm not sure how much of an impact he has, but this was a surprise. It came kind of out of the blue. I'm thinking that Ed Stefanski kind of wants to move into the president of operations role. But no, Miss Matt, what are your thoughts of the Pistons looking for a GM, and who is a candidate that you would like to see be thrown into the mix?
I'm glad you asked that question like that, because the way I see it, like Ed Stefanski, like I feel like what he's done as like the interim guy, it almost feels like what we would usually do to a certain degree. And that's not fair for any candidate that may be out there because it's like I feel like what the Pistons are trying to do, any GM that we get are going to kind of mimic the same kind of feature. So it almost feels like it don't matter who we get at the GM spot. I feel like the same similar results. And I'm not saying like, oh, we're going to do something stupid, but I'm saying we're going to do something stupid. And the thing is that if I had to make a choice, I'm still a big Chauncey Billups fan. And I'm even a Zeke fan to the situation, especially Zeke, because everything that's been going on. So it will be like extra nostalgia. I can't even say the word right, but it would be extra crazy to have him come be the GM after he's been mentioned heavily all in reports with the whole Last Dance scenario that he actually takes over the spot and pick up where Dumar's originally was when he was the GM. That would be very interesting. I'm not against actually Stefanski if he don't want to do it. I'm not actually that mad if he was just to say I'll be the GM. Personally, I mean he's done okay for now, but I'm with Mr. Bishop or either Zeke. I'm in those positions right now.
I'm with you. I love the Chauncey bandwagon for this. We need someone like this in the front office. But Bravo, I know you know a lot more front office people just around the league. Like you know assistants to the assistants of the GM, which is kind of just phenomenal to me that you know those people. But what are your thoughts on the Pistons looking to get a new GM? We technically don't have one right now, and who is a possible candidate that you'd like to be thrown into that role right now?
All I'm gonna say is this: there has been definitely a recent talk in the backstage of the Pistons, of the Detroit Pistons, and there has been a decision made to proceed with the general manager. It didn't come up like a plan, like as we were thinking last year. No, it came out of nowhere, and I feel like this is surprising. It came out of this because the surprising part is why specifically this time, because there are a lot of things happened recently. I think led them to believe to making the next step as a GM. There are a couple of reasons, or maybe three reasons, in my opinion. I think number one reason, just like you suggested, is it Ed Stefanski want to be the GM, want to be the president of basketball operation, and he want to really have a GM under his hand to make the calls, but he is going to okay all these calls in the end. Because is that really the reason, or there's a potentially other reason that they want to groom, that the Detroit Pistons want to groom a general manager like Chauncey Billups or Shane Battier? That's another reason. But I look at it also this way. Maybe Ed Stefanski, I remember he signed a 3-year deal back in the day when he started with the Pistons, and that could be a sign that he's leaving the Pistons, and which is kind of weird because he is close to his retirement, and I can see him really retiring in the next year or two. Is there any like a health concern for Ed Stefanski? I'm not really sure. So there are a few things I don't really quite understand why this decision came this specific point of time, and I hope this is not a bad idea. It's hopefully a good idea. We're always looking for a GM, but you got to really make the right move in here. This Piston organization has been going through a lot. We need someone to save the city, to save the Detroit Pistons. It's not just you bring any guy as a general manager, and you've been doing a lot of drafting, a lot of changes since Stan Van Gundy era, and I think we need someone to make the right calls, someone with a vision. It's not just a basketball previous veteran or an excellent basketball Piston player before. We need someone who has a vision. So I quite understand. I don't know the purpose of the move, but we're really hopeful that we're going to see more answers from the Detroit Pistons themselves in the next month or so when they hire the general manager.
You know, I think you made a good point there about Stefanski maybe wanting out. You know, he's getting up there. But to kind of put another twist on what you said there, Bravo, which I like what you said, I really do. Maybe Stefanski just wants less responsibility because since we did move on from Stan Van Gundy, who was the coach and the president of operations, so he made all the moves and he coached all the players. It's a lot of responsibility on somebody. They brought in Dwayne Casey and Ed Stefanski in here to kind of separate the power. But, you know, Stefanski's been, you know, acting like the GM and the president of operation, which is a lot of responsibility. And maybe that's not what he signed up for. Maybe he thought that the Pistons would go after a real GM in the first couple of years that he's been here. And now that we are, maybe this is what he wants, and then next year we can talk about re-signing him. Maybe he doesn't want the responsibility. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I'm not in the team meetings. I don't know what the game plan here is, but that's another possibility. But I like what you said there, Bravo. CA3, man, since the Pistons are looking for a new GM, what are your initial thoughts or reactions to that? And who is somebody that you are considering to be in that role?
I mean, I'm kind of, I mean, like Robert. I mean, I'm kind of confused on like why they're looking for one like at this point. I mean, like we don't even know if the season's, I mean, over yet, and it just all of a sudden that they're starting to look for a general manager. But I mean, hopefully we can find, hopefully you can find a general manager that can kind of help us make better decisions, because in this past decade we haven't been the best franchise at making good decisions. And I mean, I kind of want a guy like Chauncey, of course. A guy like Tayshaun would be cool, and but I really just want a guy that's really gonna make good decisions. I don't really care who it is. I kind of want a younger guy who's gonna make good decisions in the office and help out Ed Stefanski. And I mean, that's really all I really care about. I mean, I don't really care about any Pacific guy, just a younger guy that's gonna make good decisions in the office.
I want to see everybody in the comments. Let me know who you guys want to be brought in as a GM. I see a lot of Chauncey Billups in the chat. I also see a lot of Tayshaun Prince in the chat. Those are very two good candidates. I'd be happy with either one of those guys. But if you're ready for another Detroit Drew conspiracy theory, I was thinking about this this morning as I was setting this up and getting ready for all the questions. Is there tension between Tom Gores and Ed Stefanski? Because this kind of came out of nowhere. It came out like a Tuesday morning. Like, what are we doing on a Tuesday morning that this got leaked out? And the reason I think that there potentially could be tension, again, this is all Detroit Drew. There's no source confirming this. This is just where my mind goes, and this is how I think. We all know how Tom Gores was about Andre Drummond. That was like his son that he never had. And I don't know if Tom Gores does have children, but I'm going to go ahead and say they're not very good at basketball. That's just what I'm going to say. Andre Drummond was very good to him. He loved Andre, like I said, like a son he never had. And we got to a point where we backed ourselves up into a corner with this deal. Rather, if we liked Andre or if we didn't like Andre, I don't care what side of your fence on. We're not really talking about that aspect of it right now. What I'm talking about is we backed up into a corner where we didn't want to pay him what he wanted, which again, no problem with that. That was a whole lot of money. But we also put ourselves where we waited way too long to trade him, where teams weren't willing to give us what we wanted or what we had him valued at, because he could have walked out. It's looking like he is going to opt in on his contract, but even then, it hasn't been really confirmed officially yet. Is Tom Gores mad at Ed Stefanski for not either moving on from Andre too soon, or is he mad at Andre or him for not re-signing Andre? I mean, that's a very real possibility, and I'm sure in time we could find out. Again, this is just what I'm thinking. But fellas, I'm going to ask you this: am I crazy for thinking that? Nomus, what do you think?
I mean, I do think you got a point though, because he did just at random come out of nowhere. Like if this was like during last off season or something like that, okay, yeah, I can see like, okay, yeah, it is the off season. They want a guy who can bring it during right. That's when things like that would be more aquatic. But like you said, why all of a sudden just at the most random situation y'all bring this out? Like now all of a sudden we back to looking for a GM. Y'all had 2 years to try to find a GM, and ever since y'all let go stand back up. And it's like at the most random situation now we talking about trying to hire a GM. It's like I don't want to. It possibly could be. I don't know if they are mad. Maybe they randomly one day said, "Hey, we got the virus thing going on. Let's decide who we go hire as a GM, because when things do run up, we want to go in with a full team. Maybe they want to take full advantage." You know what I'm saying? The virus can be somewhat useful in this situation, minus the whole meeting them in person thing. But other than that, you can buy time to do things that you probably felt you couldn't do. But that's probably a bad excuse. Like I said, a lot of teams in any sport go out there in their off season to find GM. So it's like something had to go on. We just don't know quite what it is. I do feel like, although there's not enough evidence to support it, it's just really weird, like just out of nowhere.
Luke, man, I am going after his kids. And again, I don't know if you guys seen it or not, but I'm pretty sure I put Tom Gores through a table. Go check that video out. I fought him one-on-one. Go check that one out. Bravo, I know you like those videos too. Look, like I said, I don't have any sources confirming this if that's the case, but you know, there's always behind the scenes stuff like we don't always hear about right away. You know, Bravo, I don't know if you're into conspiracy theories, but do you think that I might be right here that there might be some tensions between our ownership and our front office?
I don't totally agree. It's something concerning because this came out of nowhere. What does this mean? Do they really want to bring a general manager and just then what does that mean? There's a lot of drafting, a lot of things done by Ed Stefanski already to this point, and I think he's done a really good job so far. He started he drafted very well. I think he made good choices in terms of Tony Snell. He made a lot of things good, and of course the under Drummond is not a good thing. But does that mean when you're going to bring a GM, you're going to really I anticipate Stefanski to make the decision. What does that mean if you're going to bring a GM with Stefanski as a president of basketball operation? Does that mean Stefanski is going to be the one in charge, or are you planning on firing Stefanski? I don't know exactly. So this is happening out of nowhere, and I do believe that something is going to come up out of the Detroit Pistons in the next month or so. They're going to stay. What happened exactly? Why we really want to go in that direction? And I anticipate Ed Stefanski to talk about this in more details. Hopefully, he's going to say the truth, but you can't really trust sometimes what they say on public media. Definitely concerning because what happens if Stefanski leaves and all these drafts we made, all of these decisions we made, and then another general manager comes in and he says, "Oh, I don't like Jordan Bone. I don't like Derrick Rose. I don't like Luke Kennard. Trade him away." And so I don't want us to start back over again. This is already a lot of drama we went through in the past couple of years or 3 years. We need something to build from really a solid point at this point. You know, it's just not just the general manager. You need someone. I think Stefanski has to be the guy who makes a decision because he made a lot of things up to this point. So really hard to understand what they're going to up to. And I hope that it's not going to be something bad for the Detroit Pistons. I hope it's going to be good that comes out of it in the end. Because if you just bring a general manager who is going to make the decision under Stefanski umbrella, maybe they're looking just to make Chauncey Billups. I can see that way. I can see Chauncey Billups or Shane Battier or Tayshaun Prince as the choices, and they're going to be under the umbrella of Stefanski. But let's face it, what kind of GM wants to do stuff like that? Nobody wants to do really the work under. I mean, it's hard to just work under the umbrella of someone who controls you from the top. So I don't understand what happened. So hopefully it's going to be okay for us because even we have a current a general manager associate Malik Rose. What is he doing? What does that mean for Malik Rose? What does that mean for Pat Gary, who's associate general manager? Assistant general manager Malik Rose. What do those people mean? What are they doing in the office? Why didn't they really take the general manager role?
Right.
Well, to that point, there was right before the trade deadline, Malik Rose came out and said that the Pistons weren't going to make any trades. We traded Andre Drummond, our franchise player. So I don't know how involved he is in that decision. You know, I don't know. To be honest with you, Bravo, I'm not really sure what Malik does with this team.
Nothing.
That's what I came to think of. People in the chat, man, let me know if you guys think we're crazy or if I'm crazy because it's my conspiracy. Don't give these guys a smoke.
Is it? Wait, hold on, real quick before you go on the
I was just plugging the chat. Let them get their thoughts out. No, go ahead.
Okay. I'm sorry. Wasn't there possible issues between the owner and Dumars when he got here too?
I'm not sure exactly what year Tom Gores bought the Pistons.
That was like 2012, 2013 area, something like that.
And that would be roughly right around the time Joe G went out when we brought Stan in.
Yeah, because KCP was already on the roster, I think. I don't know. It might have been around 2012-ish, 2013, I think. But my thing is, I do remember people saying that there might have been issues between him and where Dumars really did not. He just genuinely did not like Tom Gores. And it's like all of a sudden he gets fired or whatever, and he ends up leaving us or whatever the situation. Yeah, and Pistons talk is even saying, yeah, Gore's forced Dumars out in a
Well,
way.
here's my thing, Noam. I don't know if you've gone to a Pistons game with Tom Gorse being there in attendance or not. I have been there twice. I went there for Game 3 of the playoffs when we played Milwaukee, and I went there this year when we played Chicago. And it was in the middle. I think it was a Friday night or a Saturday night game, so he might have just been in Detroit in time. But no, miss, you've seen my drinking videos. You know what I am capable of doing. Tom Gorse puts me to shame, bro. He's two fisting drinks left and right. He is drinking from the moment he gets there. He is drunk, throwing T-shirts at old ladies and hitting them in the face. I'm pretty sure he's an angry drunk. So again, I don't want to bash this guy because he owns our team and this is my team till I die. But I don't know what he does outside of the Pistons game. Like if he does this all the time, he's probably irrational and has mood swings. So he might be a tough guy to work with. I don't know him like that. But, we're working on 3 different front offices here. Joe Dumars, Stan Van Gundy, and now Ed Stefanski. And all of them right now are kind of being put on this pedestal where, like, I don't know if we have that much faith into Ed. Benjamin Foe, I don't know how old Ed Stefanski is, but he says he's almost 70. That might be too. I don't know. There's nothing confirming that they're fighting at all. This is just me talking. But Tom Gorse isn't really a basketball head. We know where his mind's at. He wanted to pay Andre Drummond $30 million or more. It's not a good basketball move. That's not what his value is worth. So again, no, I don't know if that's what he's like outside. He might be a total douchebag talking to these guys. I don't know. We see him at press conferences and he's always talking good about them, but we don't always get to see what's behind closed doors. So that's all I'm gonna say. But CA3, man, it's been a long time since I've been trying to pass this to you because everyone's got something to say about this conspiracy theory. Again, chat, let us know if you think I'm crazy. But CA3, man, what do you think? Is there potentially some tension between our front office and our owner, Tom Gorse?
All I gotta say is, man, I hope not, but it's kind of suspicious. Like you guys said, finding a GM at this time, and and we've had a bunch of time to find a new GM, and we're just now doing it. So it's kind of weird, And Tom Gorse seems like that guy that's really hard to work with. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was some conflicts, and I hope there isn't, but it doesn't look good. I mean, considering all the things that we know right now. And I mean, Tom Gorse doesn't seem like a smart guy trying to give a guy like Andre Drummond $30 million. While Andre Drummond's a good player, he's just not really smart. But when you already got a contract like Blake on the team, and you're trying to get other players to come here, so it's kind of, that's not really a good basketball move at all. So I really don't understand what's happening. I hope there's not any conflict, but I think there is, because there's no way that there's not something going on when they're trying to find a GM at this time and at this weird time where you could have found a GM a couple years ago. And with all these changes in office, I mean, it's just the Pistons are just, it's not looking good right now for the Pistons. I hope they can get it right finally.
Make sure you guys go subscribe to CA3, man. CA3, we're gonna get above the rim on your channel too, man. We gotta get you hosting that. We got JMO hosting it. We'll get you hosting it. But my boy CA3 and Gnome, you guys have been dropping videos left and right all of a sudden. So props off to you. But I want to take this conspiracy one step further because I just thought about this. Luke G, I don't know why when you said he's not a b-ball guy. I know I said it, but when I looked at the comment, it made me click this way. And I don't know why. My brain works in mysterious ways. Again, it might be the Drew Wisers. It might just be talking to you guys. I don't know. But it seems like since Tom Gorse has been here, all he wants to do is be in the playoffs. He's not really trying to make a championship team. Obviously, he wants to win a championship. Show me an owner who doesn't want to win an NBA championship. And I don't know what I'll show you because those guys don't quite frankly exist. My point being is he is content with being a 7th or an 8th seed. He just wants to be in that atmosphere. What if you guys didn't get the luxury of going to either game 3 or game 4 of the playoffs last year, the environment is absolutely insane. It's crazy. It is fun. The fans are pumped up. The players are pumped up. They're trying. And like I said, LCA is one of the most fun places to be in the regular season anyway. They put on a good show. But I just think that there might have been a time, rather if it was Stan Van Gundy, because Stan Van Gundy that last year traded for Blake Griffin just to make the playoffs. But I think that maybe he's putting pressure on the coaches, the GMs, to just be good enough to get that 8 seed instead of tearing some of this stuff down, like trading an Andre a year or two ago where you could have got more in return, but he wanted to make the playoffs that year. My real question is he just forcing these guys to keep the players that we have, play them, and just make it into the playoffs? We were, 41-41 when we made the playoffs last year? That's dead on 500. It's not bad, but it's not good. And I think Tom Gores is just perfectly content with being just good. He wants to be in the playoffs. He doesn't want to get any better. And I think that if maybe we're bashing Stan Van Gundy. His coaching wasn't the greatest, but maybe he wanted to trade a couple players. Maybe he wanted to trade Andre. And Stefanski said, I'm sorry, Tom Gores said, no, I want to make the playoffs. You're keeping him. So he's like, all right, well, if you want to make the playoffs, I got to trade Tobias. I got to trade a first-round pick. That turned out to be a really good player. I think he's averaging 20 points right now, if I'm not mistaken. And OKC is about to be a very good playoff team right now. But maybe that's why Stan did that. It's because Tom Gores was putting the pressure on him to be that team. And maybe that's what he's doing with Stefanski right now. You know, our expectations going into this year was to be at least the 6th seed. At some point in time, we were talking about maybe being a 4th seed and hosting a playoff series with the home court advantage. And when that didn't happen, Stefanski or whoever went to Tom Gores and said, look, man, this is what we're going to be. We're going to be this team that's every other year, every third year, we'll be just good enough to sneak in and be the 8 seed, but we're not going to be any better than that. And maybe Tom Gores is like, I don't care. Be that 8 seed. I want to be in the playoffs. Never really allowing these GMs, presidents of basketball operations, to really make the right moves long term. Again, no sources confirming that. Just what I'm thinking. J-Mo, man, you back?
Yeah, it was good.
Man, we talked about a lot of stuff while you were gone.
I can tell.
First things first, man. I'm going to ask you this, and then I'm going to tell you what you missed out on. Pistons are looking for a new GM. What are your thoughts on that, and who's a candidate that you like?
I don't really know about the candidate I like because I really don't know who's the best candidate because I think a lot of people are just picking players that they like instead of who actually is qualified to do the job or whatever. So I don't know about that. I mean, I like Chauncey, I like Battier, but I don't really know how good they would be. Of course, Chauncey's a Piston, so they want him to do that. So I don't know about that one.
All right. Well,
I'm glad they're trying to make a different move, but I don't really know who's the best candidate, to be honest with you.
Let me tell you a Detroit Drew conspiracy theory, which we've been talking about for like 20, 30 minutes right now. Like since you left is what we've been talking about. Is do you potentially think, again, this is my conspiracy theory. This wasn't a Bravo. This wasn't a Gnome thing. It's not a chat thing. This is where my mind's at, JMO. But do you think potentially that there might be a little bit of tension between Ed Stefanski and our owner, Tom Gores? And my reasoning for this, JMO, was we waited way too long to trade Andre. Tom Gores loved Andre like the son he never had. Again, he might have sons. I don't know. But we didn't re-sign him. We traded him for a bag of potato chips, and not name brand, not Lay's, but the other kind of potato chips. Do you think maybe that Tom Gores and Ed Stefanski aren't seeing eye to eye, and that this might be a potential reason?
I'm about to get you up out of here, bro, because you did that wrong. That's what you're saying?
Maybe. That's where my kind of mind's at right now. Might there be, again, there's no source confirming this, but do you think potentially there might be a little bit of tension between those two guys?
Yeah. I mean, now that you brought that up, I actually buy that. I can subscribe to that quickly. It would make a lot of sense, and considering with how Stefanski handled the Drummond trade, I'd be ready to get him up out of here too. And he didn't really do much in the draft that would keep him. I could buy that. I'll buy what you selling, man.
Nice. See, guys, this is what you do. You got to think about stuff before you say it. You can't say Steph's better than Magic, Bravo, and no, you can't say the Knicks are going to make the playoffs. Again, I got to bash you guys for those two takes. I'm just playing. But we talked about this long enough, man. I love the conspiracy theories. I will probably do a video on this. Hell, I might go live tomorrow and talk about this with you guys and go more in depth. But I don't want to make this all about me and ramble on. We got a whole panel. We got almost 50 people watching right now. Make sure you guys like the video, share it, tell your moms, tell your parents, tell your brothers and sisters, your friends, your family, whoever. Tell them that we are here talking good quality Detroit basketball content. So before we move into talking about Anthony Edwards and the draft, because Anthony Edwards, again, depending on how bad the lottery helps or hurt us, could be a real candidate for the Pistons. But let's do this before we talk that. Even if the season's over, we got, 2 more weeks as of right now on being locked down in Michigan. The Pistons said they're not going to open their practice facilities until that is kiboshed, and you can do whatever you want afterwards. But once that is cleared and we can go back to working out as a team, doing team practices, even if the season's over and they go straight into the playoffs, which, again, we don't know if that's the case. CA3, should the Pistons go to a practice facility even if their season's over and work out as a team?
I mean, I think it would be a good idea to work to do some practices as a team because, considering, this year, a lot of our team was very unhealthy and wasn't able to, to play in their full form and play together. So I think it would be good to have some practices in the team facility because, really, we've been unhealthy the whole year and we haven't been able to see the full team together healthy. So I think it would be a nice thing to do maybe a few times.
And, I think that, you might not include everybody in that. And again, Bravo, you can talk about this more because you know more about the Grand Rapids Drive than most of us do. But that would probably be the best way of, maybe doing a G League squad versus some of the young guys that are up on this roster right now. And maybe not playing Blake Griffin, but playing more of a Luke Kennard who needs to rehab after coming back off an injury and get some more shots up and really work on that. But you might be able to see just a scrimmage between the G Leaguers and really evaluate your talent that way. That's at least what I would do if our season was over. But Bravo, man, what do you think? Even if our season is over, where they're going straight into the playoffs, again, we don't know officially if that's what they're going to do or not. But when they do open up our practice facilities, even if we're out, should the Detroit Pistons go there and at least do something as a team?
Yeah, most definitely. I think they need to practice and in order to keep the momentum, keep things going, keep like building their bodies for the future and playing games. If you really stay during the pandemic doing nothing, you're gonna lose your basketball talent. You're gonna lose your basketball body. So you can't just sit like this and do nothing. Obviously, they have to really gather and play basketball at some point. It just has to be the right guidelines for the team to open up and ideally like playing like 5-on-5, but I don't know if they can do that. Maybe 3-on-3 is reasonable. They just gotta do it. There's no way you can sit and not do practice. And from that standpoint, I think it's reasonable to have all the players, the Piston players, in a bubble situation, just like they're doing right now in Orlando, which is, I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I think it's a good idea because they need to practice. These players need to get prepared for the next season. You can't just sit like this. The virus wants you to sit and do nothing and just get fat and not move around. We have to defy the virus. We have to just go against this and try to do our best. So I am definitely a guy who supports the idea of playing basketball and practicing, but it has to be under a clear sanitary situation.
We got 40 plus people watching right now and only 25 likes. I want to see 40 plus likes before the show is all but over. I like what we said because you got to look at it this way. The Pistons and several other teams continued to pay the players when we weren't paying or playing. That's a tongue twister. We continued to pay the players who weren't playing since the league got put on lockdown, which I support fully to 100%. You kind of want to get that money back, though, because they weren't really doing much. And I think this would just be a good way to evaluate what we have. It'd be a better way to tell people that are coming back next year, people like a Bruce Brown, who improved this year but still has just a ton of work to do. People like Sekou, who has got a lot of talent, but he doesn't have it all put together yet, to give them a workout, scrimmage, and then have Dwayne Casey, their coach, who will be here next year coaching them, to tell them what he wants them to work on this offseason. I think that'd be great. Team chemistry would go up. Players would be coming back next year in better shape, know what the coach is going to ask of them, and just be ready for next year. But Nomus J, man, what are your thoughts on this? If the season is over for the Pistons, when the practice facility does open up, because there's only 3 teams that aren't practicing in the training facilities right now. That's the Mavericks, the Pistons, and somebody else. But if the season is over, should the Pistons players, coaching staff, all the guys in between go back to the practice facility, even if they're not playing, and at least do some kind of workouts together?
Well, I think first off, regardless, they need to find a way to work out and prove their own personal abilities, regardless if they allowed to during this lockdown or not. A lot of these guys get homes with courts on them. Go out there, shoot some jump shots, work out, keep yourself active. I mean, we see on our flip side, we see our football team out there. They're coming together and practicing regardless. So I think first off, that being said, and if they do open up, as long as they have certain guidelines that allows everybody can kind of, follow some kind of precaution procedures to keep everybody safe in those practice facilities, because just because they open things up don't mean you're 100% clear. So as long as they have a game plan that can allow them to control the situation where nobody gets sick or they have to do medical testing every month or every couple of weeks or so, however they go for sports athletes, to make sure they not contacting anything, and making sure they have to stay may stay in certain areas and don't go venturing off too many populated areas, which helps also keep them safe. Then yeah, I said they should definitely go back and practice together, because the way this team looks, they ain't gonna need all the help they can get anyway. So I say even right now they should be working out on their own, and they should be doing it definitely when it's allowed to open up the practice facilities. So I say yeah.
And you're right. And then, like we said, NBA will be back on the 31st of July. That is the target date. And I'm imagining, like, again, they'll be voting on what they're going to do officially this week. We should have a more clear vision of what's going to be happening. But the NBA is going to have to put in guidelines, safety tips on how they want teams to act, perform. And once the NBA gives teams those formats, then the Pistons will know what to do, how to be safe. So I think that you'll see this. J-Mo, man, you back? I'm going to guess no. So
Yeah, what's up?
Okay, let me ask you this, J-Mo, then. Even if the season's over for the Pistons, practice facility for the Pistons is not going to open up until Michigan's lockdown is officially over. Even if we're not playing any more NBA games or in the playoffs or doing any of that, should the players go to this facility and do some kind of workouts or practices? And if
Definitely.
so, what would you want to see?
It's about continuity. I want them to get reps together, and I want them to have experience with each other, and I want them to build something. It's about end of the day just hooping. You know what I'm saying? And I want them to hoop and get better. And it's things that you can still learn with the team. And everything isn't set in stone. Our team is so much samples. They they need basketball training instead of playing in the NBA. They need 3 months of training. So I want them to get as much training as possible as soon as possible.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I think I'm going to echo it here. I think the basketball bubble is a huge thing we got to look at in the future. It's the way to protect the players and limit the communication with the out world. You don't want to just expose people, and this is a good way to start, I think.
Well, we gotta do something. I don't want our players just. I'm sure even if we don't do this, we're gonna have a team meeting, and there'll be a clearer vision of what's gonna happen and what ownership wants, what the front office is going to do, and what our coaching staff wants our players to do. So I'm sure our players are kind of restless and want to do something together, because this brotherhood's getting better. Our young players are really gelling well with one another. You look at Sekou and Bruce Brown. They got a good relationship. Bruce Brown, Sekou, and Christian Wood got a trifecta going on. You don't want to I'm sure they want to work out together and practice together and do all kinds of stuff, team bonding things, because that's something that you miss is that brotherhood on the road of going to, just as simple as taking the team out and going bowling. People like that, and you gotta do something, man. Even if it's not really a hard practice, go out there and just scrimmage. Go out there, have fun. Go play horse. Go do dunk contests. Go do something as a team, and just kind of get the morale boosted up, because I'm sure a lot of players are kind of down from this. I'm not there, so I can't attest to that, but I'm sure the players are hungry and want to do something. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and transition into what the people have been waiting for, and that is some draft talk. We got a few draft questions here. In case you guys don't know how this works, what we do on Above the Rim is very similar to what I do. We talk about a player, give you what we like, what we don't like about this player. And today's player, he's in the thumbnail, you see him right there, is Anthony Edwards. He's projected to be a top 2 pick as of right now. Very, very talented scorer. I was watching some highlights of him this morning, and I like what I see. So, Phyllis, what I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys right now is, again, we'll need the lottery's help to get him, but say that we do go up in the lottery. Well, let's do this first. Let's scratch that. First, let's go ahead and talk about Anthony Edwards before we talk about him in the Pistons, so that way the people know where we stand on him. Bravo, I'm sure you know a lot more about him than everyone else does because you scout people, but what are some of the things you like about Anthony Edwards and some things you don't like about Anthony Edwards?
I could show you a chart for you guys just to give you an idea what I was looking.
Whenever you are ready.
So yes, absolutely. I mean, Anthony Edwards is one of my favorite guys, if not the best guy, my favorite guy on the Pistons. So he is really like one of the 3 or 4 young players in this NBA draft. I think there's a 4 or 5 top 60 candidates, NBA players, candidates for the next draft lottery players for the next year, and there's only like 4 of them, like out of those 60 players is only 18-year-old or 18 and a half. And Anthony Edwards, Killian Hayes, obviously one of them. So Anthony Edwards is still young. That's what I really like about this guy. He's just also as old as Melo, who's also 18. He's 6'5", 225 pounds. He's averaging 19 to 20 points a game, which is insane. And he actually played 32 games with the Georgia college team. He's rebounding 5.7 and his assists 3.1 to 2.9. He is stealing 1.5. He is scoring at a 40% field goal range and a low 29% from 3 because he's overshooting the 3 in my opinion. One of the pros I think I liked about this guy is definitely he is a huge bulldog, athletic guy. I've never seen like a more mechanical machine like him. Really, he's a great, really athletic player. He plays like a machine. You don't see him like falling much. He's really great. So he is also an excellent shot creator. He is a great scorer. And I think he really penetrates into the lane. What you like about the shooting guard in a situation like him, he's not like a traditional shooting, just shoot the basketball. No, he penetrates, he dunks, he does it all. I don't think he has a lot of like weaknesses. A few things that I've seen him on TV is like on the highlights, he doesn't give 100% efforts on defense, and I think his consistency is another issue. He chunks a lot of shots because there's a reason for it, because he is on a weak team relatively in his division, and he's really taking all the shots he wants, and he is leading the team. And I think some of it is partly selfishness. He's a little bit of selfish player, but I think that should really overshadow a lot of the weaknesses. I think he's still selfish in a good way. I think it's not a bad way at all. And if you really, I know I didn't put passing as a weakness because he know how to pass the ball. I've seen him. He can pass the ball, but he's more selfish. That's why he doesn't pass it. And I've seen a lot of video breakdown for his play. I think a comparison, this is just a kind of like off the chart comparison here. I've seen it on different websites. Donovan Mitchell, Dwayne Wade, Bradley Beal. I don't think he is a great shooter as those players or a great passer like those players, but he is probably stronger than all of them. I could tell you that. And I think it's a legit comparison because we never know what he's going to do in the next few years. I think this guy is a huge potential, and you never know what he's going to transition to in the NBA. There's no way I'm going to pass on a guy like him, leave him alone, not drafting him. I think if I have the chance, I'd pick him the number one for me if I was a Detroit Pistons. There's no way you can go wrong with Anthony Edwards. He is one of the best players, if not the best players right now on the draft, and he is probably the safest pick too, at number 1 through 3 picks. I know Melo. I like Melo the most because he fits us the most. But this guy, you can never go wrong with him. I'd be happy with him number 1 also. That's my point. So I'll stop sharing the video.
You can leave it up there for a minute, Bravo.
Okay. Yeah, you guys can take a look at it. So yeah, so he's definitely a great player. So go for it.
So one of the things I like about him, and everyone's gonna get a turn before we talk about how he would fit with the Pistons, is his NBA body. I mean, look at this guy. I mean, he's got a great body for being a rookie. He can come in and really shouldn't have a problem against too many people in the league, rather if it's offense or defense. But like you said, one of the things that I've noticed about him is he is a streaky shooter. One of the highlights I was watching this morning before I went on and set all this stuff up was a game he was playing against Michigan State. Michigan State had a
game, oh boy.
Michigan State had a huge lead, but he got the hot hand and he couldn't miss. He could not miss. But like you said, that's not always going to be there for him. He's going to have these games where you're going to be like, oh my God, man, this guy can't miss. I mean, he was hitting some step backs. He was pulling up in people's faces, contested, wide open. And then it was just like, oh my God, like, what are you supposed to do? Like, Michigan State was playing great defense. He was just feeling it. And that's what you kind of look for in a guard, is a guy that has that hot hand. Now, he needs to be better on the off days. And as a 2 guard right now, like you said, he's shooting almost 30% from the 3-point line. That's not really great, but he shoots a ton of them. He is not afraid to pull up, even if it's a bad shot. He's very confident in his shot, even when it's not going in. He's not going to stop shooting because he's not feeling it. And people might take this the wrong way. That's something that Kobe Bryant had to learn when he came in the league. That you go back to, I don't remember what game it was, but Kobe airballed 3 times. It's something that you have to learn. Okay, and again, I don't think that he'll be Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant's an all-time great. I'm not comparing him, but as a shooter, you have to learn to have faith in that. He's got faith in it, man. But CA3, man, I know you took that game to heart because you're a State fan. I don't know how many games we got in here. What are your thoughts on Anthony Edwards?
I'm pretty familiar with Anthony Edwards as a player because he went to high school in the area that I live in currently, and I know some people who played against him and played with Anthony Edwards. He's a really tough player. I mean, he's a really awesome scorer. He has great athleticism, and I think his percentages are really misleading because of the team he played with, and he really had to take like a huge role on the team. I mean, because the team wasn't that good at all. So my biggest problem with Anthony Edwards is that he falls asleep on defense a lot. That's my biggest problem. But I think he'll be a good shooter. I think 29% is really misleading because I think he has a good form and good everything. And like I remember that Michigan State game where I think I watched it like on my phone or something. He literally, I think it was the Hawaii tournament where he had like 4 points in the first half and had like 33 points in the second half and had like 7 threes in the game. So I think he'll be able to be a good shooter in the game in the NBA. So I'm not really worried about his shooting. He's also really inconsistent at times. Like some games, you'll be like, why is he taking so many shots? I mean, he's missing so much. But then he'll have one of those games like in Michigan State where he won't miss. So, but I think he'll get that. That will all improve when he gets in the NBA, and I think he'll be a superstar in this league. And if he's not, something wrong must have really happened. So, I think he's like Bravo said, he's probably the safest pick in this draft and probably easily the best player in this draft, in my opinion.
Absolutely. No, Miss J, man, I don't know if you're a State fan or a Blue fan, but that game, people know about it. But what are your thoughts on Anthony Edwards? Even if he doesn't go to the Pistons, do you like him? Do you not like him? What are some of your initial reactions about this player?
Oh no, I definitely like him because, well, here's the thing. I know we got LaMelo Ball. I'm not gonna get into all that who I would take over because I do have to unfortunately step away. But one thing I will say this much: I agree with the negatives on him. Sometimes he can need to do a little bit better on effort, and I can say that confidently because he said that himself. But I can tell why I like him because he's a Jimmy Butler fan. He'll tell you that all day. He's a Jimmy Butler fan. I almost think he patterns his game around Jimmy Butler because the way the guy can go and he's so competitive, the way the guy can penetrate with that body, man. But the thing is that he does is he can penetrate so good, he'll actually have defenses jump off of him, and then he'll take the shot anyway because he knows he can take the shot and he knows he can make it. Well, I love confidence in a player like him because that's what the Pistons need. And I feel like he gives you more volume off on those transitions as well because the guy can dribble so well and he's so balanced with it off those fast racing transitions and stuff and penetrating and laying up the basketball. I think if he can consistently do that on those quiet games where the shot's not going down, I think that will help him be a lot more consistent as far as his three-point ability. I mean, hey, you come in there and you tweak what you gotta tweak, but the thing with him, you gotta get the ball in his hand. And let him get those motions, man, so he can, get that shot going. I think that's what you'll have to do with him. The guy is actually a very smart player, more than he probably get credit. Probably get credit for. I think he knows he has to do a better job of actually giving the basketball up to other guys. But like y'all say, he can pass really good. It's just he has to be quicker on those decisions. I think that's the only thing that comes to mind when I say about him. Overall, if you were somehow able to miss out on Melo, unfortunately, and Killian Hayes somehow, you have to take Anthony Edwards because you need somebody with the ability to be an impact player on this team that can come in with that hustle and, that's not afraid to be competitive and can play physical. It has the potential to be one of the better defenders in the game if he can be properly coached and get more aggressive and, train properly after that team. Will that be the Pistons? We don't know, but I really do like the player.
One of the things he's got to work on is not settling for that three-pointer. That three-pointer is really seductive and very tempting. You got
right. He has.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry not to cut you off, but he does have a tendency to make like some bad jump shots. Sometimes they kind of go in, but a lot of times they do. That's why I say sometimes he just needs to go ahead and try to penetrate and attack that basketball, man, because I think it'll do him a lot better because he's good at drawing fouls.
Absolutely. 313 Jamo, man, before your phone dies on you, man, what do you think about Anthony Edwards?
I think Anthony Edwards, I classify certain basketball players as ballers, which just means they score and they're a baller, and that's what they're going to give you. And Anthony Edwards is a mother effing baller. The dude can score at will. His athleticism is off the chart. I haven't seen a 6'5" guard athletic like him probably since Westbrook. He's extremely athletic. He's an athletic phenom. He's good at dribble penetration. Not much of a passer, not much of a shooter, but he can score, and he's gonna get buckets. I think he's a top 2 player in this draft. Him and LaMelo, whichever one you want to take. But we get him. He's probably gonna be an all-star first couple of years. And I just like Edwards because he's a dog, bro. He'll take your heart out, shooting in your face, and then talk smack, and then of course he has to work on defense and stuff. But he's a dog. He's a scorer, and he's just a baller, man. He's a guy that's a problem. You're not gonna want to guard him because he can sauce you up and score on you. Or if he gets you in a low post, as I mentioned before, then he can dunk all over you because he has this crazy athleticism. I think he's a very, very skilled basketball player. I've been watching him for the last 3 years, and I think I agree with him being the safest pick only because unless a drastic injury happens, Anthony Edwards about to come in and give you 18, right now. If he's getting the shots, he coming in and give you 18. Without a doubt, that he's going to be a baller. That he's going to be an impact player. That he's going to have an effect on your team. So, you can't go wrong. And I would even take him before, Killian Hayes, too, if it was possible, because he's not a point guard like Hayes. But if we got the number 2 overall pick, I'm taking Anthony Edwards without doubt. I'm not taking – unless LaMelo is if LaMelo get taken 1, I'm taking Edwards 2, no matter what. I'm not passing up on that guy. Killian Hayes is more picking him 5th because Edwards would be gone at that point. But I love this kid. I'm very, very high on him, and I think he's going to be a star in this league. Like I said, all-star in the first 2 years. If he goes to the East, if he goes to the West, he might have to wait a bit.
So JMO, there's a reason why I put this logo here. With the second pick in the NBA draft, the Detroit Pistons select Anthony Edwards.
Hey man, let's hope it come true, bro. That'd be
Let's hope.
Well, let's do this, JMO.
I mean, like if you go by the last, I mean, the Lonzo draft is kind of debatable, but if you go by the at least last year draft, those top two players, we saw the impact. The year before, like Jason Tatum and whoever else you want to pick, because Donovan Mitchell, I guess you could go with him. You saw those two impact, even though they both went to great playoff teams, but you saw the impact. So we get Edwards, man, 5th seed, straight up next year.
Man,
but if we get Edwards, we might have to move on from Luke, just because I don't want Luke opportunity to be taken away because we drafted another guy.
Well, let's go ahead and go in depth to JMO in case your phone dies on us, man. If he is available for the Pistons to draft, should they do it? And if they do it, how does he affect the team in more ways than you just listed there?
Hell yeah! Man, Anthony Edwards, you better have like before he even get to us, like the pick better already be in. Before they even pick, you be like, look, if they take Melo, we taking Edwards. Don't even ask us, pick him. But also, like I said, he's a dog, so he can bring a dog mentality, a winner, a scorer mentality. I mean, Derrick Rose is like the only player on the team that's just like a dog when it comes to scoring. Blake is a dog, but he just Blake. You know what I'm saying? He bigger than everybody else, so it's a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? But like a small guard, he'll bring that scoring mentality. And like I said, he's gonna help us go to the playoffs. Now Blake can come back. And he don't have to worry about scoring 25 a night. He can just score a cool 21 because he got Edwards and he got Luke and he got C Wood. You know what I'm saying? I think he'll be better defensively in the NBA than he was in college. This is just about effort and discipline and continuity. But also, just like with LaMelo, you bring Anthony Edwards here, it's gonna be a holy mecca. We're gonna be selling out crazy tickets because this kid, he's a highlight reel, man. Like I'm telling you, he gonna be posterizing a lot of people. You better move out the way. I'm warning y'all now, move out the way, or you're gonna get dunked
on. Exactly.
Man, we need a player like that though. Bravo, man. What do you think, man? If the Pistons are in a spot where he is available, obviously you're going to say, yeah, draft him. So with that question out the way, how does he affect the rest of the Detroit Pistons?
Yeah, that's really kind of like interesting. Here's the thing. If I got the chance in Anthony Edwards, and I know he's going to be an impactful player, I pick him regardless. I don't care about how he affects the Detroit Piston players because we don't have nobody on our team except Luke Kennard and Sekou Doumbouya. We need players desperately in this team. So this is an all-star player. I can't really think he's not going to be an all-star. I think he's really good. And the thing that impressed me the most, I think he has good chemistry with his teams in Georgia too. He's not a bad player. He's not really the guy who has a negative impact on the team. I can see him playing well in our Pistons, and I think we don't have a point guard, and I know for that for sure. So how is he going to affect us? I think he's going to demand more ball for sure, and I think he's going to be playing like a point guard for us maybe. But it's not something unusual. We've been doing this for the past 2-3 years. We've been playing with not a legit point guard on our team. Bruce Brown. I mean, even like we give the ball to Luke Kennard, Svi Mykhailiuk. I don't see a reason why not drafting Edward, give him the ball. He's going to make the dishes. He's going to make the points. He's going to make the plays. I think he can. He's not going to make like average more than 5 assists a game, but he's going to score you like 25 games, which we'd never seen from Bruce Brown or like Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard is a really great shooter. I think he's still going to have a great potential for us. But Edward, I can see him scoring like 18, 20 points on the first season, maybe second season. I don't know about 20 points in the first season. At least 15 points. I can tell you that he's going to score 15 points the way he's playing. So he is going to fit, I think, just fine with the Pistons because he is a really good scorer. And I don't think we need to worry about how he's going to fit with us because when you're drafting a player like that, you can buy any player from the market and bring him with play with us. So I think we have to draft him either way if we're in a situation like that, and I think he's really going to be really a great pick for us. It's just a matter of I think I would rather go with LaMelo Ball or just in case because he fits us better right now, but it doesn't mean you can just gonna pass on a guy like Anthony Edwards, especially if he's on the board and Melo is picked up ahead of us. So why not picking Anthony Edwards for sure? Yeah, I'm gonna pick him up.
Absolutely, absolutely. CA3, man, over to you. If we are in a position, again, it would be due to the lottery helping us out, to be able to take a player like an Edwards. Should the Pistons do it? And if they do, how would a player like him affect the team right now?
Well, in certain cases, I mean, when you get the opportunity, I mean, it's kind of you kind of have to go away from what your team kind of needs, and you kind of got to take the superior talent. And Anthony Edwards is one of those players where to me, if he's on the board and you're able to get him, you got to go with him over any guy you were originally thinking of getting because this guy he's one of those players where they don't grow out trees, and he's going to be the lead scorer in the NBA, and I mean, he can really do it all when it comes to just scoring, and I think he'll be able to improve on some of his weaknesses and become a great player. So you have to take Andy Edwards with that pick if he's there, if you're able to get him.
Bravo, you're going to get kicked out of this. I don't know if you see it, but Quillfish says, I think Bravo is Edwards' agent. Good sell, man. Good sell. That's what Bravo does, man. He tells you what he's talking about. That's what we all try to do.
Let me tell you something about Edward also. If you really miss a chance, like a player like him in draft, maybe Okanu, I don't know, Killian Hayes. I like Killian Hayes. But you'll see the Piston fans after a few years, oh, we drafted the bust and we missed up on a guy like Anthony Edwards. Trust me, this is going to happen. You don't miss a guy like Anthony
What you
Edwards.
mean this is going to happen?
No, I mean, it can happen. It happened before. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry.
Okay.
My English. It can happen. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Man, if the Pistons pass on Anthony Edwards, they're getting a 3-year ban for me. if they're able to get him and they pass on him, they're getting a ban. I'm not watching the Pistons for 3 years if they pass on Anthony Edwards and he's there.
What if they take LaMelo?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I know. I believe it was Shad in the comments who said if we do take a player, let me see if I can find it real quick so I can give Shad his 5 minutes of fame real quick. But while I'm trying to find it, he said if we do take a player like him, that potentially, or I guess he didn't say potentially, he said that they would, that either Bruce Brown or Luke Kennard would have to make that transition to point guard. Right here we go. For word per word from Shad, he says if we draft Edwards, either Bruce Brown or Luke Kennard is going to have to make the switch to point guard. And that's something that the Pistons have been trying to incorporate in their offseason and giving both those guys minutes, rather if it's the preseason or the summer league, of playing point guard. So, fellas, my question to you is, does he have a valid point? JMO, I'm going to start with you. If we do take Edwards, does that mean that we have to make Bruce Brown or Luke Kennard a point guard?
I like that comment. If we draft Edwards, either Bruce Brown or Luke Kennard is going to have to make a switch to be PG. I'm sitting here debating with the people around me, and we debating whether we want. Like, I'm going to bring this to y'all. If this happened and we get Anthony Edwards, do you want Luke Kennard to move to small forward and get cooked, or do you want him to move to PG and get cooked? Which one do you prefer?
Well, if anything, if we took Edwards, I'd rather have Edwards play small forward because he's bigger than Kennard.
But he's only like 6'5", though. Why do we want an undersized small forward? Like the league, this is a league of small forwards.
Hey, I'm saying if they're all out there on the court, I'd rather have him out there on small forward because he can play better defense than Luke. I'm not saying it's a dream scenario. I'm just saying if that's what we have to do.
No, but I'm saying, would you rather have Luke at small forward or at point guard?
Point.
Exactly, and I know that like Luke could outshoot the person he's guarding, so they'll probably be a wash. But Luke Kennard guarding, like Bruce Brown couldn't guard small forwards when his rookie season, he still can't guard him. So I would putting Luke there, that would be terrible. That would be a nightmare. But I would rather put Anthony Edwards there. But I'm not trying to put a 6'4" guy on a guy like Brandon Ingram or Kelly Oubre who's just gonna shoot over you all day. You know what I'm saying? But I do think if we get Edwards, Bruce Brown probably would be gone. And we got to run Luke at point, man. Let him play point. We going to have to make Luke the point guard because, like, unless you want to get another point guard to mess up the guard room, you just have Jordan Bone and you have Kyrie Thomas and Derrick Rose backing him up. But, that's what I think about that, though.
CA3, man, what do you think about that? If we do take Edwards, do you think that Bruce Brown and or Luke Kennard need to make that switch to point guard?
I mean, that's not the greatest, situation to be in, but I mean, that's really the only choice. I mean, if you think about it, because Luke Kennard at small forward is just a nightmare, just waiting to happen. I mean, personally, I think the best scenario, try to move Luke Kennard or Bruce Brown at point guard and see who works better, and I guess pick your point guard through that way. But I mean, it's just kind of a bad scenario because I mean, I really don't know. I mean, who would you put at the 3 at that point? I mean, if that were to happen, who would you put at the 3? I wouldn't want to put Anthony Edwards at the 3.
Well, I mean, we still got free agency. We still got, I believe we could trade somebody, get a second round pick. We don't have another second round pick. We got the first round pick. That's about it. But we got free agents that we can go out there and get a small forward. We still got Tony Snell on the roster. We got Sekou. Sekou can play the 3. So I mean, we got options. Maybe not the best of options. Like I don't want to have Tony Snell probably starting this year with the emergence of Sekou, but you can put Sekou in there and really start developing him as a small forward.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean that's really the only choice to me that you have. Yeah. I mean, personally, I would just put Kennard at point guard and then put Edwards at the 2 and Sekou at the 3, and maybe Seawood and Blake as the 4 and 5. That's really, to me, that's the best option, really.
Joey's 01 says, no lie, Kennard, Edwards, Sekou, or Blake. Sorry. Let me start that over. Sorry, my fault. I can't read. He said, no lie, Kennard, Edwards, Sekou, or Sviv, Blake and Seawood would be a gnarly starting 5. Offensively, it would be a really nasty starting 5.
Defensively, it'd be a nightmare.
Yep. But we don't really have any defensive players, like true defensive players right now. So for right now, it's kind of what we're looking at next year. Next year looks like we're going to be a really good offensive team and a really poor defensive team. So it's something that we're going to have to work on come draft, come free agency, and really kind of develop that. But Bravo, man, what about you? If we do take an Edwards, does that mean that either Bruce Brown or Luke Kennard needs to make that switch to point guard?
No, if we take Anthony Edwards, like Jim was said, Bruce probably gone. You got to look at some players; they're going to be gone. You cannot accumulate so many shooting guard on a team. But I would be happy with that still because you were getting Anthony Edwards, a lead scorer. Look, the other way to look at it is also look at the Utah Jazz, how they're playing right now. The Jazz are giving the ball to Donovan Mitchell and to, I forgot his name, the Australian guy, for a second. Joe Ingles. They don't have a legit. They're not really playing legit point guard except like when this. I forgot his name.
They do have Mike Conley though, but he's been hurt.
Yes, Mike Conley didn't really do a great point guard like when he came in there in the first year, and they were debating whether they're going to play him off the bench, whether Joe Ingles is going to start it instead of him, and then they finally decided to bench Joe Ingles. But I think their system played really nice with a pick and roll with Donovan Mitchell. I don't see why we play the point guard through Anthony Edwards. Look at him. He can. I believe he can pass the ball. It's just he is selfish enough not to pass it. I know. So you make the point guard as a combination point guard in here. Is either Anthony Edwards and maybe Luke Kennard. One time Luke Kennard takes the point versus the second time Anthony Edwards takes the point. And I think that's how it works, And we played like this last year, We didn't have a legit point guard. D-Rose was Reggie Jackson was injured, and D-Rose came off the bench. We struggled with that, and we gave the ball to Bruce. But Bruce struggled scoring. This guy, I could tell you, he's not gonna struggle scoring. He's gonna make an impact immediately. So I think he would fit perfect with the Pistons. And I think from that perspective, I'm not worried about which player is going to be the point guard. We already have this problem for forever, and it's not going to be fixed by getting Anthony Edwards. But at the same time, you're going to get a great benefit by adding Anthony Edwards because he's a difference maker for our team.
Absolutely. Is anyone on the panel got anything more to say about Anthony Edwards before we move on to the next stuff?
The question is, I have a good question.
Go ahead.
Would you consider pick Anthony Edwards if we land on a top spot, let's say the first pick or the second pick, and let's say LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards on the board? Would you consider picking Edwards over LaMelo Ball?
Man, why do you gotta put me in this position?
It's hard. It's hard, right?
Look, everyone knows that in the chat. You guys aren't sold on Melo, and I think for the majority of us, Melo is probably one of our favorite players in the draft. If let's say we get the number 1 pick, Bravo. Let's just say we get lucky enough, we get to pick whoever the hell we want to pick.
Yeah.
I am taking whoever the Pistons think is the best player available. There could be no wrong pick at number 1 unless you take like a Cole Anthony or a Halliburton number 1, where they're good players, but you can't do that. But I think if we get the number 1 pick, you're really looking at Melo, Edwards, and Wiseman. That would be what I would think the Pistons' radar would be if we had the number 1 pick. And out of those 3 guys, I will put the trust, and I might be a blind fan here, in the Pistons to get the player that they think is the best player. So it's kind of a backhanded compliment or an answer, but I don't really think the Pistons can mess that one up. They can't.
You sure about that?
Okay, they can mess it up.
You said, I'm more focusing on your word. You said the player that they think, not the player that is, the player that they think. If they think James Wiseman is the best player, I guarantee they're going to take it. Because I know the Pistons.
And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Between Melo and Edwards, if we took Wiseman, I would be disappointed, like really disappointed. But let's take Wiseman out of the equation. Let's keep it with what you said, Edwards and Ball. Personally, I want Ball because I think he needs to work a little bit more. We're going to be watching his career with great interest. At least I'm going to be. I know JMO is because he's a BBB fan. But I think that he has the most potential in the draft. I think that Edwards is better right now. But we got to question his motor. We got Andre Drummond off the team. He didn't really have a high motor all the time. Are we really going to gamble on that again? The guy can ball. Where no one's denying that. He's super athletic. Go watch some of his dunk highlights. I mean, pairing him up with Sekou and Christian Wood is disgusting. We'll be on SportsCenter every night we play. Someone out of those 3 guys is going to put somebody on a poster every night. So personally, I think I might go Ball, but you can't out of those 2 guys, you can't go no wrong. What about you, JMO?
Well, you can't go wrong. It's just like obviously Zion is better than John Morant. You can't go wrong picking Zion or John Morant. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with Melo and Edwards. I agree with you. I think Edwards is like, if Melo on the scale of 1 to 100, and let's say 100 being the best player in the draft, I would say Edwards is like at 100 and Melo is like at 95. I think Edwards is a little bit better right now. But Melo's passing ability, Edwards will never get that no matter how long he plays. So you can work on the scoring, you can work on the shooting. So if I got a player, let's say hypothetically, Edwards gonna come in the league, drop 21. Hypothetically, Melo average anywhere from 16 to 18. Even if it's 16, I'm gonna take the guy that's giving me 16 and 7 assists over the guy that's giving me 21 and giving me 3 assists. Melo's passing ability is why I'm gonna draft him over Edwards. If I was drafting the best player available, I would draft Edwards. But that passing gift is something you can't teach. He's a 6'7" point guard. Like, they don't grow on trees. There's literally 3 6'7" point guards: Lonzo, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Sean Livingston. But he retired. That's it. There's no other. And then you got Ben Simmons. The other 6'6" point guards, they don't exist. So I'm taking Melo off the bat because of his passing ability.
And I think another reason I would take Melo over him is due to the fact that we need a point guard. And there's not a whole lot separating these guys really offensively. I mean, like we said, Edwards is better right now. Melo needs to get better and be more consistent. Hell, they both need to be more consistent. No one comes in the league perfect, no matter who you are. Even LeBron James had to get better at his game when he came in the league. One of the best rookies we have ever seen coming in the league. You have to get better. But I think if it comes down to that, both those guys are going to change the team for the best. I mean, we legit have a guy we can finally build around who can change the franchise. But I think if the Pistons are in that situation, they take Melo because that's a need. But CA3, man, what do you think on this one? If Melo or Edwards are available, say we get the number 1 pick, and you got to take one of those 2 guys, who are you taking?
I mean, I had to think about this like a lot. I mean, but as I thought about it, I think, just due to the Pistons having such a huge hole at point guard, like it's really. I mean, to me, you have to essentially pick LaMelo Ball because that's really, to me, if you pick Anthony Edwards, I mean, we're getting a great player, but I mean, it kind of would hurt our team. I mean, we would still have some holes on our team, like especially at small forward. I mean, I think it would be best, that we get the point guard that better fits our team, that to cover up our hole, and we already have a bunch of shooting guards that we can put at shooting guards. So and like we still have Luke and we still have Speed, we still have other guys, but at point guard we really don't have that many other guys. I mean, we have a older Derrick Rose, but that's really about it at point guard. I mean, we really need a point guard. But while Anthony Edwards is a great talent, he's probably the better talent. I mean, we need LaMelo Ball because it's a really big hole on our team. So I think LaMelo Ball is more important. And that's why I think we should pick up Anthony Edwards in that situation.
Well, Bravo, you asked the question. I'm curious to hear your answer, man. If we get the number one pick and you got to take Edwards or Ball, who are you taking, man?
I'm gonna go with the best player in the draft, and I'm gonna go with Anthony Edwards. I know we are desperate for a point guard. I know we cannot miss a point guard like Melo, and I know Melo fits us better. But I'm gonna go against the argument in here, and I'm gonna go with Anthony Edwards because he is the best player. He has the best potentials. I mean, the best all-star potential out of this draft. I can tell you that. And if I have to do it, probably a smart way, because the way I'm looking at it this way, I might trade down a second pick and draft LaMelo at the second spot. I don't know if unless really like the New York Knicks is in the second spot, we're in the first spot. I know for sure the Knicks are going to draft LaMelo Ball if they have ahead of us. So I would trade it for them and get the second pick and get another pick from them and draft Edward that way. Maybe I would do it that way. But I know this. It's kind of stupid the way I'm saying it because we need Melo, the passing ability, but he just don't pass on a guy like Edward. I'm sorry about that. It's really a huge potential, and we are in a situation we don't have a point guard for the past few years. I know we're going to be in the same situation, but nothing is going to change, But at the same time, you're going to get a huge player, so you cannot go wrong with Anthony Edwards. And we can still draft in the next few years or whoever. We can get a player through a free agency, like on a point guard position. I know it's hard, but we can just get like a guy like from free agents next year. So whoever a point guard available, we can pick him up. But you just don't really pass on a guy like Edwards in this case. So it's really hard, and I'm still in your situation, your shoes. I would still think Melo is a better choice, but I'm gonna go with Edwards.
Yeah, I'm about to say. I mean, if you feel that way, cool. But I'll say this: if you get Edwards, you still have a hole at point guard. You get Melo, you don't have any holes. So it's as simple as that.
That's right.
Real quick, Benjamin. I know Bravo said Magic is better than Curry's better than Magic, but go back in time. Go watch Bravo. I don't know if you made any videos at the time, but we had him on, and Bravo was talking Sekou before we even knew who he was, and the Pistons ended up taking him. If there's one thing Bravo does know, it's being a medical personnel person and scouting young talent. He knows these prospects better than any of us. So when Bravo talks about the draft, listen, he knows what he's talking about there, all jokes aside. Although at the same time, Bravo, we can't let you skip the Curry better than Magic.
No, but I think then he walked back his comments and said Magic was better. I remember.
It is
so
better.
He walked back the comments. Leave him alone.
People aren't going to let it go, Bravo. I'm sorry.
Oh, man. No, but I still don't think we should pass on a guy like Edward. Trust me, man. He is going to be a huge basketball player. And you might be...
You pass on Edwards when you get LaMelo.
But what is the chances of
I'm
Melo
not convinced
being...
that Edwards is going to be a better player than LaMelo. I'm not convinced at all.
I don't know. I feel like Edward is going to be a multi-year all-star player, like a Bradley Beal player. Why would we miss a guy like him? Even Donovan Mitchell.
Especially if he's in the East.
I don't know about Melo, man. There's a lot of website talk about him having a possible bust potential, which is really kind of like I don't see it.
Delusional. is what I'll call them. Delusional.
There's few things
When
with
you a
Melo,
6'7" guard that can pass and dribble like that, you're destined to be successful.
but JMO, there's a few things on Melo. I don't know about his durability. I don't know if he is able to play the 82 games like Edward is. He might not have enough
You don't know
strong
that about
body.
anybody. Edwards hasn't played 82 games,
He played 32 games exactly in college, which is great. Almost like the
but that
full.
doesn't mean he'll play 82 in the NBA.
Yeah, but the guy is athletic. He's not gonna really be concerned about injury potentials. You know, injury killed us in the past few years.
Athletic players don't get injured. What?
No, I'm saying though, injuries killed us in the past few years. This guy, I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, but Melo's not injury prone, so that's why I don't know where you're going with that.
No, I know Lonzo is injury prone, and I think Melo is injury prone too.
Let me
Come on, you can't base it off your brother, man. Come
And
on.
Lonzo had a couple freak injuries that are not normal. You can't equate that at all.
And even then, they were just
Also,
ankle tweaks.
Kyrie Irving and Steph Curry and all of these elite point guards, 90% of them are injury prone. That's how it is with point guards in the NBA right now. So that's just how it is.
Hey,
No.
Pistons talk. Don't bring up that situation again, man.
You notice how I just let that one slide. I didn't bring that one up. Just let that one slide. But hey, yeah, man, it's a tough decision to draft either one of those guys, and you really can't drop the ball. No pun intended. On picking between those two players. So,
I'll be happy with either one. It's absolutely happy with. I'd be thrilled with drafting one of those two guys for sure.
We got two more topics before we're going to open up the chat and answer your guys' questions. So if you guys have been asking the question throughout the show, hold on to it. But staying in the draft for one of the last questions. Say that we stay at 5. That means Melo. That means Ball's gone. Wiseman's gone. Probably Obi Toppin might be available. He might go at 4. But say we stay at 5 and Killian Hayes is available. J-Mo, is Killian Hayes the right fit for the Pistons since him and Sekou already have that French connection?
Well, I thought we was going to hold this back, but yeah, I think you have Edwards, you have Wiseman, you have Melo, but if you're trying to build the best continuity, best culture, if you're trying to build someone that's going to have perfect chemistry, you get Killian Hayes 100 times out of 100 because of his relationship with Sekou. They already have chemistry, and on top of that, Killian Hayes is really freaking good. So you can't hurt. I think it just, to me, it'll be I will believe in the Pistons more if they went out and they got him because it would show me that they're trying to build something with Sekou and they believe in the kid. Like I said, Killian Hayes is really freaking good on top of that, so you can't go wrong with picking him. But adding in Sekou, putting him with our shooters, I think it's just to me like it's a perfect chemistry fit. Anthony Edwards comes in here, he's gonna mess with the two guards. LaMelo come in here, he's gonna want to shoot every shot. So it's just a little bit different. Killian Hayes is gonna come in here well balanced, smooth, just ready to run the offense. Gonna let Blake take the reins. Gonna let people score. You know, and then, like gonna do his own thing. So I think he just fits better from an overall like chemistry perspective with every other big player.
Absolutely. Bravo, man. What about you, man? If we stay at 5 and all the players we talked about today aren't there, and Killian Hayes is, even if he is there at the top 1, do you think that Killian Hayes might be the best fit for the Pistons since him and Sekou already got that French connection?
First of all, I'll be super disappointed if we drop below 5 or stay at 5. I'm really hopeful that we're going to go 2 or 4 at least. You know, if not even number 1 or number 3. I don't know. We need like desperate something from this NBA draft. We can't just afford to just pick at 6 or 7 or 5. I don't know if any of those players is going to be like all-star player if we pick from that point. I don't know really. So if you ask me, I pick the best available, and also the best fit available. So in this perspective, I was going to say Killian Hayes, maybe Tyrese Halliburton, and whenever point guard comes in next. Obi Toppin might be available, and I see a lot of people like Obi Toppin, and I still think he's good, but I'd pick Hayes over Toppin because we need a point guard, and Hayes is a really good fit for our organization. That's all I think about it.
All right, real quick before I pass it over to you, CA3, JMO's phone is about to die. So, JMO, go ahead and do what you got to do, my man.
Shout out to everybody in the chat. If my phone cuts off while I'm talking, It did. It did. Oh, that bitch.
I don't know what's going on, Jambo, but we didn't. We just heard you start laughing. We didn't hear anything you said except for that laugh. I don't know what that was. But his phone is about to die, so
It's dead, maybe.
yeah. I don't know if it just died on him or what, but if that was the last of Jambo tonight, at least we got that Joker laugh. So CA3, be prepared to get cut off in case he does come back. But what are your thoughts on Killian Hayes if he's available? Is he the best fit out of everybody in the draft because of him and Sekou already got that Phoenix connection going on?
I mean, from a fit standpoint, I mean, you really can't go wrong with him. He's probably the best fit in the draft. You know, of course, you know, like you guys already said, he's got that connection. He's got that language connection with Sekou. You know, our future to talent, and you know, I think he'd be a great fit. And he also plays point guard, and we need a point guard. So I mean, I think he's a great fit. And personally, you know, if we drop to 5 and all the top players, you know, top 4 players were gone, I mean, to me, he's the best pick. He's a no-brainer pick at that point. I mean, because, I mean, to me, Obi Toppin wouldn't work. I mean, especially if we're trying to get a guy like bring back a guy like Christian Wood back, and we still have Blake Griffin on the team. So, I mean, I don't think it would be the greatest fit, you know, to get Obi Toppin. So, yeah, I mean, so I think Killian Hayes is definitely the best, probably the best fit. I think, especially if we want a guy that feels our need and, you know, a guy that can help out with Sekou and stuff. So that's good.
Yo, JMO, I'm glad you're back, but what was that laugh, man?
What?
Well, you were really quiet. All we heard, we were trying to give you final thoughts, and we just heard you do a Joker laugh, and then you dipped.
Bro, no, I did a Joker laugh because I was like, if my phone cut off while I'm talking, it instantly cut off, so I started laughing right before, like, I guess that's the last thing y'all heard. It's like, boom, literally cut off as soon as I started talking. It's all good. I'm here for it till the end.
All right.
Phone and reload up on it.
You are really quiet, JMO, man. So I don't know how well the people in the chat can hear you, but we'll try to get that fixed real quick. But last question from us before we turn over to people in the chat. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure you guys are sitting on your questions because we're about to answer them here in just a minute. But you know, we talked about this on Sunday, on Holy Smoke Sunday. But we had Craig Sword on JMO's channel. He is a player from the Grand Rapids Drive. He came on and talked to us last week for Above the Rim. And he talked about Lewis King being the next man up for the Pistons, that he had really good potential and all that good stuff. So we haven't seen too much of Lewis King. So, fellas, my question to you is, can Lewis King be the next good small forward that we have been missing and that we need? Bravo, I'm going to toss that one to you first.
Yeah, I think he's a really good player, and I think he's gonna be even better in the next few years. He is 6'7", and his body is he's got a really good body athletically. So he can go to the lane, he can shoot from the mid range, he can shoot the 3. He also I like his ball handling a lot. Like I mentioned that in the past few shows. I think the most impressed me the most about Luke King is his ball handling. I wasn't expecting him to be this interesting ball handler. He can handle the ball, and he can just take it to the lane. He can score it. He's a nice finisher too. He's not a bad finisher. I seen him missing up in the NBA a few layups or dunks. He missed a dunks once. He missed a layup once, but he is a good player. I think he's going to be a really solid player for us. The question is, I hope the Pistons give him the contract for another like G League season or maybe another year in the G League. He needs more time. He's like still 19, and I think he's going to be I think he's 20. I think he's got a really good chance of taking over a small forward because he has a nice size. He's got all the skills he wants, and it's just a matter of playing time and more experience for us.
Absolutely. I'm I'm going to be honest with you, man. I wasn't sold on him. A lot of people were hyping him up, and quite frankly, I didn't see it. And then we only seen just a tiny fraction of him this regular season, and he played pretty well for us. And I think that we didn't really expect to see him too much on the Pistons this year. I thought he spent a lot more time in the G League, which he did. But now hearing about how Craig talked about him and that he is really good, he played really well for the Drive this year. His potential, I don't want to put a limit on it. I don't know how good or bad he'll be, but I'm more confident in him now. I think that he'll turn into a solid player. I don't know how good he will become, but he's got a lot of potential. He could be a missing piece that we met, and he just might be a sixth man for us. That's more what his potential might be. I don't know. Only time will tell. But we got nothing to lose. If he turns out to be a bust, so be it.
Right.
But it is what it is. JMO, let's see if we can hear you now.
Yeah.
You there?
Can y'all hear me?
Oh, yes, we can.
Can y'all hear?
Yep. So, JMO, real quick.
Okay, man, yeah, I'm having technical difficulties right now. I can't really hear you guys, but I'm gonna just give my final thoughts because I cannot hear you guys, but apparently y'all can hear me. But all I gotta say is draft Anthony Edwards if you want a championship. If not, draft Melo. Ha ha ha. That was a joke for y'all. Also, I think that the Pistons need to draft the right GM because this could change our franchise for forever. Like, Joe Dumars did a lot of terrible things, but he did win a chip, so he did something right. If we can get the right GM in here to do something right again, then I think we could get back to prominence. I think we're not successful because we don't have the right management, whether it's coaching, whether it's the people in the front office, and we're making a lot of mistakes. And this is a very big deal for us for the next 10 years, deciding who our general manager will be. Of course, Killian Hayes and Sekou will be the French connection. But all in all, it's Free Smoke Saturday. Shout out to everybody that came through. Thank y'all.
Hey, thanks for joining, JMO. Sorry your phone died. Sorry the connection sucked there at the end. But so everyone in the chat, Above the Rim is going to be on JMO's channel.
Yeah, I can barely hear y'all.
Yeah, Above the Rim is going to be on JMO's channel next Saturday, 7 p.m. So make sure you guys go subscribe to JMO, and we'll have him back and ready to go for another edition of Free Smoke Saturday next week. But CA3, man, what are your thoughts on Louis King? Could he be the next good small forward that we've been missing? And what are your thoughts on his potential?
I mean, I think Louis King can really be a potential key piece to this team. From what I've seen in college, I saw he had potential to be a solid, maybe decent starter and maybe a solid role player. He looks like he played well for the G League, for the Drive, and he averaged about like 15 points per game in 31 games, which is pretty solid. And he shot pretty decent from three as well, like 34%. So I think he has a lot of potential and could be a key piece to this team eventually. Maybe with one more year of development and could be on the team and play some crucial minutes. So I definitely think he has potential.
Absolutely. So like JMO said, it is Free Smoke Saturday. Now, peeps, is your time to ask either Detroit Drew, Bravo, CA3, and I think JMO's still here. I don't know. But you can ask anybody a question. You can open up to the panel and ask us whatever you
No,
want.
I'm still around. I just can't barely hear y'all.
Alrighty. So with that being said, while we're waiting for you guys to pour in your questions, go ahead and drop that down. If you guys have asked something throughout the show and we didn't get to it, now's the time. And what I'm waiting for you guys, it's time for me to do what I do best, and that is plug some of our stuff. So like I said, next week, Above the Rims on JMO's channel, that is at 7 p.m. We'll be talking about another draft prospect. We will continue the Detroit Pistons GM search if we got one yet. And by then, we should know what the plan for the NBA is. So we'll have a lot more to talk about. And if all else fails, we'll talk more draft stuff, which we'll talk with that anyway. We just might talk about two more in-depth people. We're getting to the point where we've pretty much talked about all the top tier guys, and it's really started to do some soul searching and talk about some of the lesser known people. So stay tuned for all that. And then you're going to want to subscribe to all the DSA members, so that way you get your Lions content, get your Pistons content, and you don't miss out. Our Lions shows are Tuesdays and Thursdays, We've been having a lot of special guests come on. I think we got Man Beast Morris coming on Tuesday or Thursday on the round table. So we're spreading that Detroit sports love all across all of our platforms and really making one big community. So stay tuned for all of that. And then if you guys are curious of what channels the round table are on or what channels Above the Rim is going to be on, there is a link in there, or you can type in DetroitSportsAlliance.com, and that takes you to the official DSA website. It's got all of our members on there, contact information, and if you have any questions about it, you can hit me up on Instagram or Twitter. Links to those are in the description. So see if I got anything else to plug. No, I think that's it. I think I plugged everything. I'm getting pretty good at it. So let's see what we got. We got a couple things coming up. See, Micah says Kenyon Martin Jr. could go undrafted. Should we take a look at him? Bravo. What do you think about Kenyon Martin Jr.?
I haven't really watched his videos, so if he's undrafted, I think I've seen him like once. Now I don't know if he's second round pick or he's barely outside the second round pick. I've be interested to see how he does as we get closer to the lottery and closer to the NBA draft. So I don't know. He might go exactly undrafted, maybe just by the 60s or high 50 picks. Here's the thing. Draft and sign an undrafted player. Would you rather sign an undrafted player or go with previous years, Jordan Bone and Lou King? I think I'd go with Jordan Bone and Louis King because that year's draft is better than this year's draft. And if we got a couple of spots on the G League team, I'd rather give them back to Jordan Bone and Lou King than trying to draft someone from undrafted free agency, which is I don't mind, but I think those guys we picked from last year are really good. And we don't really have a second round pick. We don't have like a second undrafted player. So our spots are limited, remember. So I don't know about Kenyon Martin Jr. He might be interesting, but I'd rather have Lou King and Jordan Bone back next year.
JMO, you got two profiles in the pick, man. Oh, I guess that one left. Never mind. I guess he's out. All right. Dylan says to everyone, so this is open up to everybody, I guess. That's what I would think. What are y'all thoughts on this? I say we draft Killian Hayes, find a way to get a second round pick, and take Nick Richards. It's Udoka
or Azubuike from Kansas.
Udoka Azubuike
from Kansas.
I was not going to be close on how to pronounce that, so God bless you.
Yeah, Udoka Azubuike. It's pretty simple.
And then to finish out the question, and seeing a defensive player like Torrey Craig. See, if I'll toss that one to you first.
I like the idea of drafting Killian Hayes. I think Nick Richards is a sleeper as well in the second round. I mean, Azubuike, I mean he's a really big center, and I mean he could be a solid defensive player in the league, and I mean he has free throw issues, but I think he's a solid big man in the second round. But I mean, I also wouldn't mind getting a defensive wing like Torrey Craig to come off the bench and he could give us some defensive help because we don't really have a true defensive player on this team. So I think that's a solid scenario, in my opinion.
Can't go wrong with defense. I think in order for us to get another second round pick, we would have to land somewhere. Let's say we get the fourth pick, and we want Killian Hayes. Say we don't want Obi Toppin, we don't want Wiseman. Say we trade down. You're able to still get Killian Hayes and then maybe get another first-round pick if someone has two first-round picks. It'd be probably later. You might be able to swing it that way. But I have no problem drafting Killian and then going out and getting defensive wing. Bravo, what say you?
Yeah, I think it's a nice scenario, Dylan. So it sounds like a beautiful scenario if we draft Killian Hayes and Udoka Azubuike. Azubuike is really good center. We needed a center. He's 7 foot, I believe, and he's a really massive body. And I think he's going to be – we have Dante Hall, but who's a really nice shot blocker. But I think having Azubuike as a second-round pick is not a bad idea. The other player, I'm not really sure who means. Nick Richard, I haven't really seen a lot of highlights of him.
He plays for Kentucky. He had a break all year this year.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Torrey Craig is, man, he's a really nice small forward. He's a defensive player, and I think it will be a nice pick for us. I definitely rock with Torrey Craig. He's from Australia, I believe, and he plays for the Denver Nuggets.
Emerald Eyes wants to say, yo, Drew, thoughts on Denny out of the job? Bravo, help me out.
Avdia.
Denny Adia. That's how you say it.
Avdia.
Avdia.
Yeah.
Bravo has sent me literally 5 videos about this guy, and I am saving them to do our film study on. I do know he's from Australia, and I do know he can put the ball in the net. I don't know too much about him as of right now, but hopefully this week I was actually going to talk to Bravo after the show and see if he could come on and watch some film and break down some film with me. So as of right now, I don't know too much about him. So we'll have to stay tuned for that one. Oliver says we need to trade Blake to Portland for 2020 first round pick, 2020 first round pick, and Whiteside.
Oh, for the 2020 first round pick. For their 2020 first round pick.
For the I can't read. I told you guys I've had a couple Drew eyes.
No, he typed it wrong. Okay.
I mean, that would help Portland out. I don't really think they're going to hold on to Whiteside since they have their center coming back who broke his leg, whose name escapes me at this moment. So Whiteside played well for him, and we do need a center. I don't know how high their picks. It's going to be a lower tier pick since they are going to be a playoff team, but I mean, it should be somewhere between 18 and 25-ish, somewhere around that ballpark, I do believe. Although I don't think they're in the playoffs right now at the moment. I don't remember. I haven't.
We're outside the playoff picture.
So, I mean, it's not going to be a great pick. It'll be a middle tier. So, I mean, we could probably get another good player. So, I don't know. Pistons Talk says, if we fall to 8th, would you take a gamble on a guy like Kira Lewis? Again, I don't know too much about Kira Lewis. I haven't done scouting on some of the middle tier players yet. CA3 man, what do you know about Lewis?
I mean, I don't really know too much. I just know where he played for. I know he played for Alabama. I mean, Bravo could tell you probably more about him. But what do you think about him, Bravo?
Definitely. I would definitely consider Kira Lewis. I think he is one of the steal. This is my opinion. This NBA draft, Kira Lewis is the steal of the draft. And mark my word, I'm telling you, Kira Lewis is one of the steal player of the draft. And I think Sadiq Bey is also good. Is an excellent shooter. They're going to be really like steals of the draft. I mean, Devin Vassell is also a nice shooter, but he's a lottery pick. So I don't know.
Devin Vassell, I mean, he's a nice. I mean, he's really a nice all-around player. I mean, he's a really good defensive player as well.
Yeah, but Kira Lewis is a nice, really point guard. You know, Kira Lewis reminds me has the speed of Ish Smith, and even like a faster player, just like a De'Aaron Fox kind of speed. But he's also like a slasher. He goes to the rim. He dishes. He makes about 5 assists per game. I love his speed and athleticism. So would I pick him up at 8? I'd consider him maybe at 8 to 10. Maybe. Why not? I think he's a really good pickup for us. I'd pick him up over guys like, I hate to say Denny Avdia. Denny Avdia is really nice. I'm not going to say Denny Avdia. Maybe I'd pick him over Devin Vassell or even Tyrese Halliburton. I don't know. I think Kira Lewis is good. Tyrese Halliburton, you don't miss. Sorry, I'll take it back. Kira Lewis is not as good as Tyrese Halliburton, but Kira Lewis is an excellent player at 8. I don't think it's a bad choice at all.
So, Bravo, I guess the next question for you is who's the biggest sleeper in the draft?
Sleeper. So, what does that mean? A steal or a sleeper?
Someone that will probably go past the lottery that will turn out to be better than some of the guys who took in the lottery. So, for example, Giannis was a sleeper. You know, a lot of people pass on Giannis, and he turned out to be the best player in that draft. You know, so someone that maybe right now isn't going to be looked as a good pick, but will turn out to be one of the best players in the draft based on where he got took.
It's hard, really. This draft is relatively not really strong. I heard that, and I'm not going to say it's a weak. Everybody's saying it's a weak draft. I don't think it's a weak draft. I think it's a good draft, but it's not as strong. I think that a huge steal, definitely Kira Lewis. And a Sadiq Bey, again, mentioned. Possible sleeper, really, I don't know, really, at this point. I'm going to say maybe Aaron Naismith. He's a nice player, 6'6". He can be one of those small forward. He can be a sleeper. And I think, I don't know about this guy is a very high, maybe the highest bust potential in the draft, Jaden McDaniels. But he could be a sleeper, too, because he's 6'10" with the body of Kevin Durant, and they compare him to his style of play, but he's not even close. I don't know if he's going to be a sleeper. I don't trust his. I don't trust he's going to be a good player. But
he went to Washington, right?
What's up?
He went to Washington, right?
Yeah, I forgot what he plays for. Really,
I think he did.
Yeah, I think he plays for Washington. He might be a sleeper in the second round, actually. But that's all I think about those players.
CA3, man, who is your sleeper in this draft?
Oh man. I mean, I need to do more research, but I mean, some sleepers. I think a sleeper at point guard. There's a guy that went to Oregon, and played point guard. His name is Peyton Pritchard. I think he's a really nice player, who can really do a lot of everything, and he's a really smart player. Who he's a. The only problem with him is his age. I mean, he played all 4 years in college, so. But I think he's a really sleeper in this draft. I think he's a sleeper in this draft, personally.
He reminds me of that Philadelphia 76ers point guard, the short little guy. What's his name? The nimble point guard.
Yeah.
Huh? TJ McConnell. Exactly. There you go. TJ McConnell is like Pitchford.
I think he'll be better. And
Yeah.
He has some size.
Yeah, he's a definitely better shooter. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Fellas, we have been on for over 2 hours. We don't want to be on all night, although time does fly when we're having fun. We had a lot of great stuff to talk about. So right now, we'll go ahead and switch up the final thoughts and get ready to enjoy the rest of our weekend. So, CA3, man, what are your final thoughts on the show? What do you got for us?
This was a great show. Great 2-hour show. It was nice talking to you guys, and I appreciate all you guys' support. And you guys should expect a long and detailed video and hard video that I really worked hard on. I'm not gonna tell you guys what it is, but it's gonna be a great video, and you guys should tune in next week.
No spoilers. I'll definitely be sure to check that one out. Make sure you do subscribe to CA3. He's been putting in the work and dropping some videos, some really good videos, I might add. So make sure you guys check in on CA3's channel. His link is also in the description. Bravo, man. What do you got for final thoughts for us?
Like the show, good stuff. We made it summarize about a lot of things, and it was a good news for this Pistons last week. A lot of things are happening, and I anticipate more news coming up in the next few weeks with the general manager. So let's keep it real and hopeful that we're going to get a nice general manager who's going to help out our organization, because it's what we need the most. And the draft is always interesting to talk about. I'm going to just quickly over those quick thing that Donnie, he's actually asked me about Vernon Carney Jr. I think he's a second-round pick. He's not a first-round pick in my opinion, but he's okay. And I like Paul Reed. Paul Reed is really one of those sleepers. He's a little bit older though. So that's my point. Makur is a bust, just like Thon Maker. That's why he's not an NBA player.
You're talking about Vernon Carey?
Yeah, Vernon Carney Jr. Yeah.
You think he's a second-round pick?
Yeah, he's according to the what's this Tankathon, he's a second-round pick. He's actually projected in the second round at this point.
He's a sleeper pick. If he's a second-round pick, he's a sleeper pick to me.
He's projected at 30, but he keeps jumping up between the 30th pick and maybe the high low 30s pick in the second round. So he probably a second-round pick, but he's a nice. I like him. I
just think it's probably why he went down. I think he's a little undersized for his position. I think that's probably why he's down there.
Yeah.
But he's really got everything. I mean, he can stretch the floor, and he's a really good post player.
Yeah, he's like Achua is a lot better version than him. Obviously, that's why I can see Achua a better player than him.
I mean, they play different positions. So.
Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll transition back to you, Drew.
Well, guys, I don't want to cut anybody off when they're talking because we had a lot of good stuff to talk about today. It's just good to have some NBA news, and it's kind of just showing you that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's a crazy world we're living in right now with everything going on out there. So no matter what side of the fence on, I don't do politics on this channel. I just want all my viewers who tune in to the DSA, to Detroit Drew, to just stay safe in whatever you're doing out there. The world's crazy. There's not a whole lot I can do to change it for you, but just know that I want the best for whatever is for you guys. Whatever path you're on, we're pulling for you guys. Just stay safe out there. Be cautious. Like I said, the world's crazy. That being said, tomorrow I think I will go live. Not sure what time yet, and give my thoughts more in depth about this whole GM conspiracy theory and go more in depth with you guys. And if you guys got questions about it, I'll answer them. With that said, just stay tuned. Make sure you guys subscribe to all the DSA members. Instagram and Twitter in the description with the DSA members and the link to the DSA website, or you can just type in DetroitSportsAlliance.com and go check all that out. with that being said, that's all I got for you guys. We will see you next week on JMO's channel at 7 p.m. And that's the bottom line because Detroit Drew said so. See you guys tomorrow, man. Peace.